Platinum Place, Northridge in Accra. We are also live for you on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube. So do join us and connect with us on those platforms. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Now, it's been a very interesting week already because yesterday we saw a protest. An interesting protest, basically to call on the government to end Galamsey. And so it began in the afternoon. And then later in the course of the day, we saw how that progressed. Unfortunately for the protesters, the planned end time at midnight, well, that did not materialize. And then we also saw something we've not seen in this country for a while. We saw the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Mensah. He visited the protesters, spoke to them, found out exactly how they were doing, and he also conveyed the farewell or wishes of the president as well as his boss, the Attorney General, to the police officers who were on guard. Yes, it caused some challenges for people in terms of good luck around the Circle Enclave and all that. But all well and true. I mean, we saw that happen, and then it will be quite interesting to get to understand exactly whether that protest achieved its purpose, and then what the way forward would be. And yes, the NPP is also in the mix. So much to talk about them. The party is still restructuring, jabs here and there, but ultimately the party says it is putting things in place to be able to, galvanize its base, and then gear up for election 2028. Yesterday I said something that for me, election 2028 will be very interesting. But what will be even more interesting will be the journey from now till 2028. Mind you, the NDC also has to look for a flag bearer because John Dramani Mahama will not run in 2028. That's what we know for now. And so, who succeeds John Mahama as flag bearer of the NDC? And then who would become the flag bearer of the NPP? A lot of names already bundled around, and I'm sure you also do have your takes as to who will get to lead those parties, because yes, the two major political parties in this country would be going head on in 2028. And the journey from now till then, just watch it. Just enjoy it, because the drama, if you think is already happening, is just getting started. There is more that will be happening in the coming days. And so from now till 10 a.m., it will be on your screens with you. And remember, you are always a big part of the conversation. So please interact with us on Facebook, on X, and also on YouTube. You can also send in your thoughts, your comments. And if it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you. And the 29th of April, happy birthday to you, and do have a wonderful one. Later on in the show, we'll be having some interviews about entrepreneurship, because now everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. But then the thing is, what do you know about entrepreneurship? There are challenges that people face. Do you know the risks involved? What does it take to be an entrepreneur? We'll be having that conversation with a very seasoned entrepreneur himself here on the show, so you don't want to miss out on that. We'll also be checking out the newspapers, what they are saying, and then we'll also have a conversation with the Deputy Director of the Forestry Commission, Elikem Kotoko, will be joining us to have a conversation basically on Galamsey, the fight against Galamsey. Mind you, Freddy Blay, former chairman of the NPP, he says this government, John Mahama's government, will not be able to stamp out Galamsey. He says John Mahama would not be able to deal with Galamsey. Is that really the case? What are the strides made? Is the government able to tell us exactly those strides that have been made, and whether or not there are even timelines as to when we would see a complete, or if not, we'll see Galamsey reduced to its barest minimum. So we'll have all those conversations, and then we'll also be getting that full interview with Freddy Blay. So I'm here sat with him, and we'll play you that full interview at 9 a.m. here on the show. So it's really packed, and I'm glad you are here with me on the show. This is GH Today here on GHOne Television. Let's bring you the quote for the day. So our quote this morning is from Henry David Thoreau. He says, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams." I love this one. Henry David Thoreau says, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams." But the most important aspect of this is, have you identified what your dreams are? Have you even dreamt? Do you have dreams? Do you have aspirations? Do you have a picture of what you want to be tomorrow? in the next week, in the next month, in the next year. When you have that clear picture, then you go confidently towards it because you know you are aiming for bullseye. You know exactly what you're targeting. And so go confidently in the direction of your dreams. When the distractions come, you know what you're focused on. Go straight forward. That's our quote of the day. Let's now bring you one of my exciting parts of the show, the word of the day.
Today's word, GHOne, G-E-R-L-Y, gingerly. It's an adverb. If you do something gingerly, you do it in a careful way because you're afraid of being hurt or making noise, etc. Let's exemplify it. The crew moved the items to the studio gingerly in order not to break them. Gingerly.
And so if your television is not on GHOne television and you're probably watching us online, just move gingerly and change this channel on the television set and be a part of the conversation. Noreen has a way with words, and it's how he actually emphasizes on the word. And sometimes it makes it look like some of us, we've not even studied English at all. Extra tall guy bringing us the word of the day. And as we're zooming into it, let's now ease the tension. Let's now settle with some good music as we check out the video of the day. With that one, that's a video of the day. But let's strictly now move to Inside Out. All right, so this morning there is something I want to bring to your attention. A phenomenon that might not necessarily be new to some of us, because yes, we've heard of these incidents, we've seen similar incidents and similar sentiments shared over the period. But I want you to watch this video, brief video, about 39 seconds. When you watch it, I'll not come and tell you what really necessitated that particular video. So let's watch this.
Coming in, commuting from homes. Some of our students are forced to look for homes around and then high rents and then come to school, which also poses another challenge. Some of them are even living with boyfriends and then girlfriends. We have that challenge. And some are forced into that situation, not that they intended to be in that situation, but then the situation has come for that. So we would urge that we get a boarding facility so that at least it will curb some of these challenges.
So that's Madam Victoria. She's actually the headmistress of Temu Senior High School in Tema, here in Accra. Not in any remote part of the country. Tema we day, yeah, TM for life. Yes, so she's the headmistress of the school. And her concern is practically simple. The school does not have boarding facilities, but students who do not live in or within the Tema enclave get admission to the school. And when that happens, they have to resort to other means. So it's either they get into hostel facilities if they can afford, or now have to look at living with people. And in this instance, she's talking about girl students or female students of Temu Senior High School, some of them due to the challenges regarding the fact that the school does not have any boarding facility, have to now live with boyfriends, males, and you know the resultant effect. I don't need to tell you what that would result in. So that is a huge burden on the mind of this headmistress, complaining, basically asking, is it possible that in this day and age, yes, we have community days senior high schools, but if we have a school like Temu Senior High School that has been in existence for God knows how long, we should be able to get some level of boarding facility so that students from any part of Ghana can be able to access the school without challenges. So now, the female students have to spend time living with males, and they call them boyfriends and all of those things. And that is actually having an impact, because mind you, secondary school, by the time you go to senior high school, you're around what, 15, 16? That's it. And now, some are even younger. So imagine a 15-year-old girl having to stay with a man simply because she cannot afford, or her parents cannot afford to put her in a hostel facility. And she's also been, she's been posted to Temu Senior High School after writing BEC. And this phenomenon, like I said, is not new, because you might have heard that that has happened in other schools. Even schools that have boarding facilities also have these instances where some students, either male or female, the males decide, oh, let me go and hang out with boys. The girls decide, okay, either girls, or, well, I have a boyfriend who lives around. Let me go and live and then commute to school here and back. And in this day and age where we are trying to ensure that we are not only getting our girls in school, but also providing a platform for them to be able to excel, this is a worrying phenomenon. I don't know if Temu has enough space in terms of land to be able to have boarding facilities in the school premises. But then the concern then is, what alternatives are there? So it is the case that Temu should be a community day senior high school where only those in the environs, Tema, West, Shaiman, maybe Nungwa, where they can only pick maybe a vehicle or go to school. Even that has its own consequences. So the headmistress is lamenting. Because of the absence of a boarding facility, some of her girls have to resort to this. And then the issue of teenage pregnancy might also rear its head in there, because this young girl staying with this man, clearly, there would be opportunities for some things like this to fester. And so that's her concern. She's very worried, and I'm equally worried for her. And I really hope that this gets some attention and we get to find ways around it. If possible, let's make GHOne a community day school where only students in the area can be able to access it. But then where does the diversity come in there? Where will we get all these beautiful... Because I went to Presec. Yes, the only Presec. And then it was very diverse because of the boarding facilities available. Students from anywhere could be a part of us. And we learned so much from different people here and there. But for a school like GHOne that is grappling with this, clearly, something needs to be done about it. So let's play the Headmistress one more time, and let's use that to close it down. Let's listen to her again, her plight.
Coming in, commuting from homes, some of our students are forced to look for homes around and then high rents and then come to school, which also poses another challenge. Some of them are even living with boyfriends and then girlfriends. We have that challenge. And some are forced into that situation, not that they intended to be in that situation, but then the situation has come for that. So we would urge that we get a boarding facility so that at least it will curb some of these challenges.
So GHOne Senior High School needs a boarding facility to curb these challenges. And I like the word he used. The girls are forced. Sometimes it's not as though they are willing, even though we can say there are exceptions to that. But basically because of the situation, they are forced to look for alternatives, and that results in that situation there. But well, that's it for Inside Out this morning. To hear that, you already know. It's time to bring you caught today. Murtala Inusa has joined me. Murtala, good morning.
Good morning, Kodjo Mensah.
I hope you're doing well.
By His grace, I'm fine.
Fantastic.
How about
so,
you?
I'm doing okay. I'm just sleepy, but I'm okay. You know, I heard the special prosecutor talk about the fact that, well, we need to have a certain form of regime, legal regime, empower him, to be able to do his work well and all of that, to strengthen his office basically. But he's been on to some work.
That is so. So the special prosecutor has been once a while, and we hear from the OSP and all of that. And yesterday was one of the days that we heard from the OSP. And in respect of the person involved, it was something that is so much of a news because we've seen over the past few years a case that came up, and then OSP declared Charles BC wanted. Court battle here and there, even as we speak. The leg of it is currently at the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is even here to deal with it. Right. Then yesterday, there was that information that came out. In fact, there's a charge sheet that has been filed against the former, the secretary of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles BC. And what the OSP is saying is to the effect that if you look at investigations that have been put together, and as you can see on your screens, excerpts of the charges and accounts that have been filed at the High Court. In fact, 15 of them, 15 counts, and out of the 15 counts, Mr. Charles BCU has 6 of them, and of course, he is not in this alone. If you look at the charge sheet that has been filed, he, together with Andy Thomas Owusu, another somebody who is also close to him, they are alleged to have taken bribe, allegedly, for Charles BCU. The document mentioned 35,000, and then the other accused person 15,000, just so they will allow somebody who was seeking for that license to be able to mine, Benjamin Ejapon on that case. Initially, we were told that it negotiated for 100,000 Ghana cedis. And in fact, after 100,000 Ghana cedis, they realized that 100,000 Ghana cedis. They realized that if you look at the processes that the whole processes that's involved, it means that they use the office for the corruption by a public officer, of course, one of them, and then using your office for profit, and of course, bribery. So these are the allegations that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has leveled against Charles BC. In fact, we've been told that sometime on the 6th of May, that particular case will come up, and then his plea will be taken in relation to what has been filed at the court. So in the news here, yes, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is up again, and this time around, his battle with Charles BC is up again because the new charge sheet has come. Using public office for profit is one of the counts that has been preferred. And so corruption is also captured. The corruption by a public officer is also captured in there. And of course, if you look at the whole processes that have been filed, accepting bribe to influence a public officer. So these are the charges or the counts in relation to the Office of the Special Prosecutor's latest on Charles BC, especially in relation to Galamsey. So it makes the point that if you look at the committee that was formed in 2017, sometime in 2021, the whole process was truncated, and the investigations upon allegations came out that there were some monies that were taken. So that is Charles BC on your screens over there. So that's one of the, and then this is the Attorney General, of course, but this particular case is filed by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So officers from the Office of the Special Prosecutor are the one to prosecute this way. In fact, there are a couple of them. ABLJ, the former PPA boss, is also in court, and some other cases up north and all of that. So we keep an eye on this very one, and then we'll let you know when the OSP is in court to have the plea of Charles BC, and of course Andy Owusu taken. We'll be there to follow up and then see what will happen in relation to that.
Interesting there, Tala. Charles BC looks like his woes never end. Somehow it looks like it keeps getting worse.
So you note that at some point in time, the OSP declared him wanted.
Yeah.
It became a human rights issue. At a point in time, the decision taken by the Human Rights Court, Mr. BC and the lawyers are not satisfied with it. So they're currently at the Supreme Court. And then at the last court day, I noticed that both the prosecution and the lawyer for Charles BC were not available in court. So that case was adjourned sine die.
Interesting. Now let's talk about the man who says that he had nothing to do with Atai. He was only a mechanic for Atai, and so he feels that he's been unfairly prosecuted and jailed.
Okay, so that's the man on your screen in white. Yes. So the point is that he, together with the popular Atai or notorious Atai, who is currently at Ankafo in prisons, were charged together for robbery. And you know that the kind of robbery that Atai was involved in is one that is high, very, very high robbery, of course. So they were arrested together with some others, and then eventually they were convicted and jailed 35 years in 2002.
Right.
He was not represented by a lawyer at the time. So his current lawyer, George Bernard Shaw, upon getting the information, looked at the whole process and realized that no, he thinks that the fact adduced in court did not support the offense or the facts, and so he's lodged an appeal at the Court of Appeal, which yesterday was a day that a 3-member panel of the Court of Appeal, presided over by Justice Janapari Kodjo, was expected to deliver their judgment. But that case, which also includes Justice Stephen Opon and Justice Abuaje Tando, has been adjourned to June 5. But he's saying that we told that he is the mechanic, he's the one that if at all you go on operations and come up with the cars, he's the one that repairs the car.
What those cars
absolutely. I later didn't know that it was Atai that he was dealing with. So that is the case before the Court of Appeal. And on June 5,
been in prison for 23 years.
Yeah, he's been in prison for because they were jailed 25 years in 2002.
Right.
So he's been in lawful custody till now. So the appeal process started for about I think 6 years now.
Okay.
But it's been a while now. It's been a while. So he sold me. 23 has been spent already. So let's about 12 more years to go because it's 35 years.
And so if last you get to understand that okay, he was jailed wrongfully, he has already spent the 23 years.
Almost he has done. Anyways, he has done that.
So let's talk about the Ghana High Commission property. Now yesterday I remember you mentioned that the man who had sold some property in Nigeria, among others. What exactly happened in court on that?
Yeah, so yesterday, the High Court in Accra, presided over by Justice Mary Mamiye Yenzu, made a determination on a bail application moved by his lawyers. In fact, if you look at the case before the court, Benjamin Mensah Bonsu, you note that the Minister for Foreign Affairs gave us information about how a diplomatic property belonging to Ghana in Nigeria was handled, where some $1.5 million was received by this gentleman for the sale of that particular property. And so, following the death of some of the persons involved, they decided when the investigation uncovered that he was the one that received the money. So he was arrested and currently he's before in lawful custody. On the 17th of April, they made an appearance in court where prosecution urged the court that they would need more time to be able to investigate further. So his plea on stealing, money laundering, and some others were not taken.
Right.
And so yesterday, his lawyers, led by Andrew Kodjo, moved a bail application before the court. Prosecution opposed to that. By the end, the court is of the view that the accused person be granted bail in the sum of 2 million Ghana cedis with 2 sureties, but the sureties should be public servant earning not less than 6,000 Ghana cedis. That's a gross salary, should not be less than 6,000 Ghana cedis. The passports should also be deposited with the registry. He should also report to the case investigator once every fortnight or once every 2 weeks until final determination of the case. So that is in relation to that. So yesterday, as you can see him with some of the officers having a conversation in the handcuff, they're leaving the court. The point is that he was likely to have his bail granted, and once he's able to satisfy the conditions, then so sometime in June, May, next month, he'll be back in court again.
Fantastic. So what are we looking forward to?
Today, I'll be taking you to the camp of Asamoah Gyan. Yesterday, I mentioned that, yes, the Black Stars all-time goal scorer. So there's this case where a journalist and some other, in relation to malicious prosecution, that case, High Court delivered a judgment and awarded him damages against Asamoah Gyan in the sum of over 1 million cedis. Right. He disagreed with that particular decision. So currently today, he's in the Supreme Court. He wanted the court to stay proceedings so that he will appeal at the Court of Appeal. The court said, then before you go and appeal, pay 50% of the money. It will be put in the treasury bill. It will be growing for you. At the end of the legal battle, if you win, you pick your money. If you don't win, you add the additional one and give it to them. But he said that I'm going to the Supreme Court. So this and some other things that we expect to happen today. Fantastic. By way of court today.
Mutala Inusa.
Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Today, the Ghanaians, we are in action. But I won't talk much.
You know what?
Jones will come and tell you more.
Exactly.
He was doing some shakara things behind the scenes, but I will not talk. Yeah, it's not fun. We'll not talk.
Mutala Inusa, thank you so much for bringing us court today. That's Mutala bringing us all the details in the judiciary, telling us exactly what has happened, what is happening, and what we should also be looking forward to. And shortly, we'll also be crossing over and getting the latest updates by way of sports. Jones Aji will be joining us with Sports Chat. ADZI, the man who's always outside. I mean, yesterday there was a bet. There was a bet that was made here. We'll see who gets to shave off his hair. Let's bring you Sports Chat. So Jones has joined me, ADZI with the Happy Socks. Yesterday you made the bet. So who will be shaving the head very soon?
Very soon. It's about. I want Mutala to accept if it would be today or the end of the time. You know, they'll play a first leg and then a second leg. So as now, see me, I won't say anything. Kasayem from yes, and you know that in football, it is about what you can do. It is not.
It's not a mouth.
No.
I got it from.
Yes, show us what you can do. So let's see how it goes for them today. But then I'm hoping that we can get a good game and enjoy. You know, Thomas Partey plays for us now, and we are expecting him to be absent because he's on suspension. So accumulation of yellow cards means that he's going to miss today's game against PSG. But then, let's get to see the last time they met. PSG came to Arsenal, and Arsenal actually beats them, and then they are hoping that they can get that feat done. But then, you know what? Let me give you some interesting stats.
Okay.
Anytime a pope dies, an English team gets to win the UEFA Champions League. Yes. So the first time that that happened, let me get that for you quickly. Okay, we saw Pope John Paul the first. Yes, in 1978, Nottingham Forest, an English side, went on to win the Champions League. In 2005, John Paul II, Liverpool won the UEFA Champions League. 2022, Pope Benedict died. Guess who? Manchester City won. We are in 2025.
Pope Francis is gone.
Pope Francis,
who will win
the UEFA Champions League? And Arsenal are the only English side left in the Champions League.
Right.
And now another history that would help them, that's Thomas Partey in there getting a goal against PSG, but then he's going to actually miss today's game. Another history that would favor Arsenal is that anytime the final is played in Munich, Germany, a first-timer wins the UEFA Champions League. So it is, it is looking good.
So history is in the favor of Arsenal. And the question is, will history also play on the pitch?
Yeah. So they've met 6 times. Arsenal winning 3 ending in a draw, and PSG are yet to beat Arsenal at this stage. So we will see how it goes. They've met in 1994. Arsenal beats them, and then it has always been Arsenal. It has always been Arsenal. We'll see how it actually goes for them up against the boys from France tonight. Now, let's quickly move on and do Manchester United, because Troy Deeney, former Watford captain, has asked Manchester United to sign who? Antoine Semenyo. Yes, so say won't go signing who. The boy is good. So Troy Deeney, who is a former captain and now a legend of the English Premier League, believes that Manchester United need to get Ghanaian boy Antoine Semenyo into their fold if they want to do very well. Don't forget that Antoine Semenyo actually scored against Manchester United, on Sunday. So we'll see how that one goes. If Antoine Semenyo, his release clause is around 70 million, and would Manchester United be willing to pay 70 million for the Ghanaian there? We'll see how it goes there. And the MMA, mixed martial arts. Reggie Rockstone is going to be in action. Yes, Reggie Rockstone is going to be fighting come this Saturday. So there's a video. Let's get to watch the video of Reggie Rockstone preparing to fight on Saturday.
Yep, back in effect. So now the big question is, what am I going to wear into the ring? You know, I'm stylish like that. I'm fashionable. So I chose, my fighting name is the Red Tiger. Okay, so I chose to wear red, but guess who?
So, red tiger.
So there you see our man.
Oh, Red Rock.
Yeah,
The Red
Rock,
Tiger.
yeah.
Charlie, my grandpapa, what is that?
Oh, Charlie. No, grandpapa actually says that, yesterday he was on our show, and we are hoping to bring him on today. And he actually revealed that he started fighting before music.
No, I understand, though, but Charlie, you are not a grandpa. Hey, grandpa, what is that?
Oh.
No, maybe there is some secret ingredients in Rock's watching that is probably, going to give him some. Because did you see him throwing the legs?
Yeah.
And it's not just about throwing legs. No, who is he going against?
So,
because I really want to see who.
It's a young chap. It's a young chap. At the end of this video, yes, it's a very young chap. When you watch the video very well, but then he's experienced.
Charlie, you see, experience, it is there.
Yeah.
But you see, sometimes. Hey, you can't find nature. But it will be very interesting.
Yeah. To see
Grandpapa, do his moves, and then he says it's the Red Tiger. So,
so it is the Global Warrior Champions, the mixed martial arts event that we are championing as EIB Sports. Right. So we're actually going to try very much to bring it live to our viewers there. From the Bochum Boxing Arena, but then it will be very good for you to be there as well to get to enjoy that event. So at the Bochum Boxing Area on Saturday at exactly 6 p.m. 6 p.m. please, not Ghana man time. 6 p.m. would be there to have some good fun. You never know. Maybe I will not say anything.
But I see some 2 females too on the bill.
Yeah.
Also in mixed martial arts.
It's getting interesting.
When you get married, becomes a mixed martial arts person.
Whose girlfriend? when you get married to someone who does this here, what's that?
Oh no, they are not violent. They are very, very calm.
Okay.
Because it's profession.
Okay.
So I don't think you speak sports when you are with your partner. Exactly. That's it.
That's it. Let's quickly end off with some boxing because Alexander Usyk, and then would also see Daniel Dubois. Yes, they're going to be the 19th of July, and that was the face-off there. Charlie, the face-offs always gets interesting. But then this two heavyweight big men boxers are going to be in action on the 19th of July. We'll see how it goes. When the face-off happened, well, Dubois shoved off the man and told him that, see, this time there I will show you to be a rematch of what happened 2 years ago. We'll see how that ends. And then let's quickly end off with NBA. And it was interesting. Let's get a result. Yes, from the NBA playoffs. The NBA playoffs is getting very, very interesting. And then yesterday we saw the Bucks. They were defeated by the Pacers 103 to 129. And then the Heat also lost to the Cavaliers 83 to 138. And then Golden State Warriors beat the Rockets 109 to 106 in there. So that should do it for sports this morning. We do have, so they have a full results from yesterday and this dawn's game. For the NBA lovers, you have to wake up around 1, then 2, then watch the basketball. It's not easy, but
if you do that, I say we'll go watch.
For the love of the game.
No, but it happens even with boxing.
Yeah. You used to do that?
No.
You and guys right here. All right, so that should do it for sports this morning. Thank you so much. We have the game at 1 p.m. We'll be doing the UEFA Champions League and then the mixed martial arts proper at 1 p.m. on GHOne TV. My name is GHOne Sadie Zerai. This is Sports Chat. We're outside.
He's outside, and then the Red Tiger is also preparing for that. I just can't fathom. Anyway, we just leave it there. Reggie Rockstar, Grandpapa, big shout out to you this morning. Well, that's it for Sports Charts, but we'll now take a look at what the papers are saying this morning. Blasts off program to create 20,000 decent jobs annually. This according to the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. That was launched yesterday. Also, chip-embedded passports kick in. President Mahama Akufo-Addo take copies. And there was a caution there. Sabal Critical Blackwa says, don't take it to, don't put anointing oil. Like you are praying for the passport so that you can get to leave the country. Please, it will destroy the chip and then you'll be here. Boku feuding parties converge on Mensah for peace talks. Okay. July 1 declared National Day of Thanksgiving, and then weak enforcement behind annual fiscal laws, according to the Dean of UPSA. That's on the front page of the Daily Graphic this morning. The Daily Guide is next, says OSP drags Charles Bisu to court for corruption. History will be kind to Nana. That's according to Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. There's also Asante Mamponhene is dead, and we saw the delegation at Mensah yesterday. NDC petition against 3 Ashanti seats dismissed, and let's invest together for economic growth. Amakwe to the youth of Ghana telling us that. Thank you so much, Mr. RNAQ. That's for the Daily Guide. Let's check out the Ghanaian Times newspaper this morning. President unveils a Jumera initiative to create 10,000 businesses annually. Okay, so 10,000 businesses, 20,000 jobs. Cheap embedded passports rolled out. Protesters hit across streets, demand end to Galamsey. Then there's also Stop Blame Game, channel energies into business creation. Richard Niamakwe challenges youth there. The New Crusading Guide is next, says OSP files criminal charges against Charles Bisu. There's also grand jubilation at CDC headquarters as Apostle Alex Edu is inducted as new chairman. And court remands bartender for threatening Kole Wulomo. Okay. A Jumera program to empower 10,000 youth entrepreneurs annually. That's according to the chief executive of the NEIP. And CJ suspension politically motivated. Advocacy for Citizens Ghana. There's also NDC's 2025 budget vindicates NPP as an asset to Ghana's development. The Chronicle newspaper this morning, Ghanaians should forgive NPP. That's according to Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, while his party says he's shifting blame and playing the blame game and trying to exonerate himself. There's also OSP files bribery charges against Charles Bisu. Ghana rolls out chip embedded passports. A Jumera program is not a fanfare. That's the president saying that. And clinical psychologist in court over alleged $70,000 forex fraud. And the scripture for the Chronicles this morning, 1 Samuel chapter 6 verse 3, but they were not like their father, for they were greedy for money. They accepted bribes and perverted justice. Chronicle, you already know what that scripture is speaking to, but it's in the Bible. So Chronicle's quoting that there, right under a story on OSP filing bribery charges against Charles Bisu. Let's look at our next paper for this morning. All right, so that's it for the newspapers this morning. If you want copies, you can grab copies and get to read more about those stories. We'll be right back with the breakfast review segment.
GHOne OV van has been one of the best vans I've used personally in this country. It runs a system where we are able to run on Dante to be able to do our broadcast mixed well also from this van.
I've used this OB van for quite a number of big productions, i.e. 3 music awards, the late President Rollis' state funeral, Miss Africa awards, and a number of them.
My experience with the GHOne van has been the state of the art equipment they have. Personal experience is you can use it for both indoor and outdoor, all events, conferencing, like anything you need a van to work for you, GHOne provides it.
My experience with the van has been very good. Why? Because it has a number of facilities that I may not get in other vans. You know, the van has a very wide bench that can accommodate all my technical crew. ICC, switcher, graphics, CG, and all of that. And then it also has a studio, a green room studio that comes with TriCaster. So if you want somebody to do commentary on a live event, you can put that presenter who's in that studio as well and get that running.
To give an experience to our audience who are also watching on TVs and online. Work with an Exo technology system which makes your video mixing with Panasonic cameras like a lot of other stuff in terms of content you need to get also for your live broadcasts?
I prefer the GHOne van to a lot of other vans I've used, or even doing my own setup on a tabletop setup, because on a production you see a number of people in the van, and so if you have a very small van, it means that it's going to be choked, and that will affect the creativity as well. The price has been discounted as well to accommodate varied budgets, and so no matter the budget you have, I understand you can have the truck and do business with it.
It looks huge but very affordable. Cost is really affordable. My experience with it, EMI Awards last year, super excellent. Try it, call them, and I'm going to give you the best of price. Really affordable.
So much for staying on with us here on GH1 Television. This is GH Today, the best way to wake up here in Accra and beyond. Now, we're zooming into our interviews for this morning, and this interview particularly is one that I'm excited about. Why? Because earlier I mentioned that there are so many of us who want to be entrepreneurs, but we do not necessarily understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Can just anybody become an entrepreneur? What are the things you need to look at? And I'm sure that this morning, everybody's a young CEO. We are all CEOs in one way way or the other, because you are establishing things, not necessarily understanding the rudiments of becoming an entrepreneur, and that's why we're having this conversation. Also in line with the Global Entrepreneurs Festival. I mean, it's big. We saw the press launch last week. It was massive. And so when I read the newspapers, you saw a lot of stories. Richard Nyamakwe admonishing the young people to come together, let's invest, let's be able to drive entrepreneurship so that we can also retire at 40 like he did. And my guest this morning is Dr. Sumi Smart Francis. He's a man who wears so many hats. I don't even know where to start from. I'm sure that if I have to read your CV, it would be like a whole book on its own. But good morning. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Joshua, for having me today, and thank you to your listeners.
Right. And so how has it been so far, being in Ghana, all the work that you're doing so far? How has it been?
It's been great getting into Ghana and having such a massive event, such a massive turnout of high caliber business leaders in Ghana and also international business leaders. I was at a Global Business Mix and Press Conference. And of course, getting to see that you guys are retiring at 40. It was painful. I looked at my age, I'm like, damn, how did I miss the 40 mark? But I'll try 50.
You'll try 50. Quite interesting. So the reason why I say he wears so many hats is that he's the project lead of Global Entrepreneurship Festival, which is the biggest entrepreneurship event in the world. Not in Ghana, not in Africa. You're talking about the world. He's also the founder of Africa's Young Entrepreneurs. So he has not retired at 40, but he's not 50 yet. Very young. Then he's also the Chief Visionary Officer of Entrepreneurship Village, which is practically our Silicon Valley here in Africa.
That's right.
And so that's so many hats you wear. Does that put pressure on you?
Not really, because if you check in the lines, even more lines of my entire profile, one thing remains constant: entrepreneurship.
Right.
So it's like you're playing with the same jersey in every team,
Okay.
and the same field, in the same space. So I'm the number 9 on every team I play. So it's easy for me to keep striking.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is it's following the vision. I feel is divine, and also following the major need our continent needs, like you said earlier. And I'm enjoying it. And I'm getting to see the progress. Initially, when we started in our space, became a continental platform with the biggest in 20 countries in Africa, Africa's young entrepreneurs. And now we've taken the center stage in leading this global project.
So talk to me about the Global Entrepreneurship Festival.
I like to first emphasize on the major point you made in the beginning, the reason of entrepreneurship. It will then help us understand this festival and what it means for Africa. I said in your radio show last time when I was here that Shakira feels for me like she's a prophet. It's time for Africa. It wasn't just that year.
Yeah.
It started, and it's a movement. I have a quote that says that education is the key.
Okay.
And entrepreneurship is the door. You find many of us in Africa with a lot of keys: MBA, PhD, diploma, BSc. But there's no door to open. So we just find a lot of people with a bunch of keys. So the narrative is now, why not have the keys and then have the door?
Right.
And that is why we're also even introducing entrepreneurship in education, in universities. And I really want to commend our organization, AYE, for that, spreading it across the continent. While doing that, it was easy to see that the major strength of our continent is entrepreneurship. A typical African, like you said, we're born an entrepreneur. It's either you're opening your father's shop or you're going to the farm with your mother or something like that. There's this entrepreneurial drive. And when you look at our young population, there's this major strength that we have. I would say if you go to Africa, you see them on the streets, you see them outdoor. We only have that entrepreneurship stamina. Nobody has that kind of stamina. And it's high time we started taking advantage of our strength to eradicate our weaknesses. Now, to the festival. The festival is the biggest platform in the world to celebrate entrepreneurship players, entrepreneurship platforms, and great entrepreneurs who have been able to make an impact. You know, look at Richard, for example. Look at what he's doing. I just watched one of his videos where he also spoke about his own dream. That's quite impressive to see that an African is having that kind of a dream where we can co-invest into other young Africans. The Global Entrepreneurship Festival is the biggest entrepreneurship event in the world, happening in 3 days with 12 events, from opening conference, global leadership forum, trade fair and exhibitions, innovation and robotic expo, business pitching to investors and the deal rooms. We have a fashion show, a lot more, International Women Congress, and of course, on the final day, there's a closing concert.
Interesting. It looks like it encompasses almost every industry, every aspect of our lives, because I listened to you talk about the fact that we're going to have conferences, then there'll be fashion shows. So it's like from the boardrooms straight to the streets and everything in between.
Definitely. Yes. The theme for this year with major focus on AI is the AI-powered entrepreneur creating a sustainable future. So we're also going to look at how AI is powering every sector, from the fashion. People just using AI and think it's about asking ChatGPT questions or putting your script on it.
And then getting the script rewritten.
ChatGPT has become mentors to some people. ChatGPT is helping people have the best designs, and there's more to AI than what we have not even scratched it here in Africa. And that's what the festival will be shedding light to.
Right.
Not just that, the innovation and robotic, the business pitch will also be shedding light to entrepreneurs who are AI fortified. And we are going to be having over 100 VCs in the room to be able to directly invest in these entrepreneurs who are not just AI powered, but have innovations that are sustainable and that can also ultimately help our continent in Africa. So let me take that pleasurable word that you use. I don't mix business with pleasure, but I make business pleasurable. So let's make it important there. Even when we finish in the conference, the deal rooms, the Global Leadership Forum. I haven't spoken on global stages like in Davos and on major players across the world. I realized that most of the time, it's always those finite night dinners that the deal gets to happen. When we are, just really dancing and playing. And you wonder, we've been in this boardroom for a long time. You didn't respond. Then how come we're now having a glass of wine? It makes
when
sense.
we are winding down, that's when people actually crack.
So last year, from what we tracked, the biggest deals happened at the Global Recognition Award. That's where we celebrate the biggest players in the world during their gala night, and also at the closing concert. You see everybody just smiling, and the biggest CEOs in the world dancing with the startups here in Africa. And at that time, can you say, hey, Charlie, that business I spoke to you about, we're going to do it. So that's
right. So you don't mix business with pleasure, but you make business pleasurable.
That's right.
Very, very interesting. But talking about entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship, basically, what makes a good entrepreneur?
Joshua, you want to join us? I'm sure you won already.
I'm very eager. I need to know so I can join.
The main thing I must say is the tenacity. Because besides everything you learn in the entrepreneurship world, besides every conference, besides every lessons, every mentorship, when the real world of entrepreneurship hits you, you're going to forget all those things. Be it you learned it in Harvard, you learned it everywhere, but that stamina to keep going, that perseverance to keep going, is what makes you a true entrepreneur. And I must say this because there's someone out there, probably you've been in this entrepreneurship space and you're about to give up. I always say this to people. Now, remember, there are billions of people in this world, but every time you feel like giving up, remember, your stamina is the reason why God chose you for that vision. So there's a reason why that particular vision, that project belongs to you, because you are qualified, you have that inbuilt stamina. So what makes an entrepreneur for me is your inbuilt stamina to keep going despite all odds. Because I'll tell you, many people give up a day before they are supposed to blow. That's the day they give up.
That's tragedy.
So why not just keep on going, because that day is quite closer, and it's what truly makes you an entrepreneur. Of course, let's not forget the fact that time is part of the process. You know what I'm saying? People think that it's just about the investments, it's just about money, it's about the network. Factor time in it. To say that it's going to happen in a year, it's a big bloody lie. It's going to take years. The foundation's got to go deep. And what you're going through now as an entrepreneur is just the foundation aspect of that giant platform that's going to blow up the entire world.
So people have great ideas. I remember Bolare has a program, Entrepreneurship with Bola, where he is looking at young people with very creative ideas who want to do stuff. And you listen to these ideas, very brilliant ideas, but then somehow you realize that some people with these kind of ideas still are not able to get them materialized. What mistakes are we making?
So firstly, I commend Bola for what he's doing, man. Doing so much work and still be able to give time to entrepreneurs. I walked into your studio, I saw the young energy in these rooms, I saw the young talents gathered here. So kudos to the man, it's well respected. And having to put such a show together, highly commendable. Going to that question, sometimes you ain't going to blame these guys because they've not been given the privilege of the right room.
The right room.
Yeah, you've got to be in the right room, I tell you sometimes. I spoke recently at a conference, and I'm about to speak again at another conference, which I think it's a topic I'm going to release just now. It's called the gift of success. Hey, success seems like it's earned, but sometimes it's given. You got to be in that room where they give it to you. That network you're looking for, that partner you're looking for, someone's got to give it to you. And they don't have the access. And guess what? That is exactly what GEF is about. Point blank. That's the main objective. We're bringing in top business leaders from across the world, the biggest names in the world, coming into Africa. And there's no closed door. No, we made it definitely sure that in that room, we dissolve every protocol, every close protection aid. So you have a close access to the biggest names. I don't want to drop names right now. And that is where those guys' talent, those guys' innovations can make sense to people who can literally help them. Because let's not forget the fact that funding is a major problem.
True.
Now, you look at a person and you think he's lazy. The guy's just broke. Look at a person and you think it's not possible, he can't do it. He doesn't just have the right capital to start. So at least we can address that funding challenge. We can address that networking challenge. We can address that partnership challenge. Another challenge, we can look at it from the entrepreneur's angle, is thinking, I need everything to start.
Okay.
Just take the step. Start with going to the right places. Start by being in the presence of those who can help you. And from there, make those right connections, and then start where you are. Because at that point, I don't know if I should tell this crazy story right now, but maybe I should hide it up. A friend of mine came to visit me at the resort, and while we were just having a conversation, I was trying to look at his daughter. His very young child dived into the deep end of the pool. Very crazy. I was quite shocked, but I was quite happy when the lifeguard took him out, you know what I'm saying? And I was so shocked that his father was like, no, his name is Sumi. I gave my son Sumi, so I expect him to take risks. Anyway, we had to laugh about it. But here's the most important part of that story.
Right.
That guy saw the deep end, which he would never do again, but God sent a lifeguard at the right time. Dive. There's always a lifeguard waiting for you.
There's always a lifeguard waiting for you. So entrepreneurs need to be very bold.
That's right.
To take that step.
That's right.
And I've heard entrepreneurs talk about the fact that, well, in Ghana, I don't know how it is in Nigeria, people want to start and own their businesses, and so they do not open up the businesses for others to join. So we don't see partnerships as much as we see in other parts of the world. People want to be the sole owners of their businesses and run the business to success.
That's a deep question, because it's a deep problem. It spans across many things in this continent. Honestly, I don't want to say too many things right now, but figure this out. If I'm in a place where somebody keeps saying, you will start your own business this year, you will start your own business this year, and I'm shouting amen, amen, amen. Even if I'm working in the best company, where there's opportunity for entrepreneurship, where there's opportunity for handover. See, one of the blessings for some of us is that some of the companies you're supposed to start has been founded by somebody else. You don't need to go through that whole space. You are just a next of kin, but you missed it out because you were thinking you're falling for prophecy. So you had to move out of GHOne. Meanwhile, you are the next one in line for the executive director.
Right.
And you wouldn't have gone out through the problem of going to go and find your own 7D camera to start a studio. So people get to miss out on that aspect where you can serve into leadership and serve into those places. Now, let's look also the aspect of somebody wanting to own it all.
Yeah.
It's a common phrase. I'm sure you know it. Owning 0%, everything of nothing, than you wanting to partner. See, I'll tell you something. The best time to ride an elephant is when it's on his knees. So by the time it rises, it stands up with you, and then you're bigger, you're taller. There are some people you have to ride on, some elephants you have to find that when they're on their knees and just plead and just go on them. So that by the time they rise with you. That same noise, that same big project you want to accomplish, you can do it on an elephant's back.
How important is mentorship for entrepreneurs?
Well, it's a bit of everything that I just said. You know, looking at it, I'm trying to find the right word for it. Do you know the meaning of going to a place with somebody that knows the road? It saves you a lot of things. You getting lost, you getting attacked, you wasting money, entering the wrong vehicles, you know, getting to the wrong bus stops, meeting the wrong people because you are following somebody that knows the road. It's quite important. And let me also share this. One thing that is very, very important is following the right mentor who does not really need to be successful. Now, many people think that he has to have 1 million followers on Instagram. And he has to have $1 million bank account, bank balance, before he can be my mentor. Big bloody lie. See, the price some people paid for mentorship is their failures. Yeah, is their failure. That is the price they paid for their wisdom.
So they have done it.
They've done it.
It didn't work.
Failed.
They can tell you. Don't go here.
They can tell you. So don't think that because the man only has 3 followers, he has a small shop, he did not make it, he cannot mentor you. You can tap from the wisdom of failure. Guess what? When we were planning the Global Entrepreneurship Festival, we planned for 2 years. 2 years. And guess what we're studying? The biggest events in the world that failed. Not the one that were successful, because we've done conferences for 15 years, success. We know. But we're looking for the biggest in the world that failed. And boy, oh boy, did I not learn. Was my eyes not open to things I never saw? Because in success, we only see the beauties. Right. But in failures, you learn the woes, brother. You learn it.
So, is there a point where an entrepreneur can say, I tried, it didn't work. Let me stop. Let me look for something else.
Why are you asking me this question? I'm the wrong person to ask this. Oh my God, ask Bola that question. I'm the wrong person to ask that. Is there a point?
Yeah. Well, you can say that I put my energies into this. It didn't work. Let me just find something else.
Is there a point, really? Let me be honest here. Is there a point? I've never thought about this. Because, is there a point? You know what? Even when you give up, excuse me, you end up with a lifetime of blaming yourself. Because there's always a part of you that you felt like you left behind. So are you able to live with that conscience? If you are, then fine. Give up. If you are able to live with the conscience that you still didn't feel like I did everything possible. And how do you know that everything is what you have done? You got to keep going on because there's always something left. Right. So, but I don't want to, there's somebody out there listening to us and said, really, I've really tried. You do not know my story. I've tried everything. Entrepreneurship is a pain in the ass because even when you're successful, you will never know. When I became one, I never knew. It was a friend of mine who connected with me and he needed some money. And I'm like, oh, bruh, things are hard. I got to pay half salary. And I just turned my back statement and I said, look, I just paid. And he screams like, you pay this number of people's salary. I'm like, yes, but look at my balance. He said, it's not about your bank balance.
It's the fact that you're paying.
You can pay all this number of people there. So I'm like, oh, really? That's true. Oh, you have this number of company cars. You have this property. Oh, so because when you buy those cars and when you buy those buildings for your offices, it's just working. You don't see it as you are buying a property. Yeah. And that's what entrepreneurship is. So going back to that story, the same way you don't know when you're going to be successful is the same way you don't know when you come out of that failure. Just keep going. Don't give it up. And of course, be in the right room. The GEF is around the corner. Do not miss the door. Some of us are quite spiritual. And you've heard of stories where somebody says, just take me to that river. Just carry me there.
I've been here for 30 years.
You know what I'm saying? So find a way to carry yourself there so that the right people
Talk to me about the GEF. Let's get the information out there. When is it happening? Where is it
happening? It's happening November 21st to the 23rd. That's the weekend of the Global Entrepreneurship Week. So that happens during that week every goddamn year. And it's the biggest event. I'm excited. It's our festival, man. It's our carnival for entrepreneurs. So I always say, even like last year, the news was everywhere. If you're not at the GEF, you're not an entrepreneur. Forget it. If you're not in that room, you're not an entrepreneur. Okay, so if you're not in the startup in the innovation room and you say you're big and you're not in the global recognition award room, you're not in that gala night, then where really are you? So make sure you're there. I spoke about the team already, and if you want to register, it's globalentrepreneurshipfestival.com, globalentrepreneurshipfestival.com, or you can just Google biggest entrepreneurship event in the world, and ChatGPT or Google will feed you enough information. Another thing that is important is, yes, it's happening in Nigeria. We had this conversation before the session, and there's been a lot of pressure. I don't know, and I must really acknowledge Ghanaians and their tenacity in wanting to project Ghana as the global entrance for Africa. There's been a lot of pressure on Ghana should do it. And like, why not pitch for another year? They're like, no. So there's still a lot of meetings happening. We have our global board meetings coming up. So we don't know anything that might change, but let's keep our fingers crossed.
It is possible.
You see them again.
Doc, I mean, so your final words to young entrepreneurs watching us this morning, inspired by all that you've said. What do you need to tell them?
Well, I'm proud of you. I think that's the first thing. I'm the prophet of entrepreneurship, as they call me. Managing African entrepreneurs across the world, and I'm really proud that you're in that journey. I'm really proud that you're doing what you're doing. And the fact that you know that somebody's got your back, not just me, a lot of us. And entrepreneurship is the catalyst for poverty eradication in Africa. So you're providing a solution to release Africa from poverty. I'll tell you for a fact, please do not give up on that project. Please, there are people that has been designed for that particular project. There are customers that have been designed for that particular project. All you have to do is be in that right room. And I'm looking forward to see you at the Global Entrepreneurship Festival.
Doc, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
I enjoyed myself.
I did too. So that's Dr. Sumi Francis, Smart Francis, is project lead, Global Entrepreneurship Festival, founder of Africa's Young Entrepreneurs and chief visionary officer of the Entrepreneurship Village. Having that conversation with us, I think now I am so empowered. The next time you see me in November.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. So that said, and I'm sure that as young entrepreneurs also watching us, you've picked a thing or two, getting ready and also getting energized to pursue that dream. If God gave it to you, He's made people available to consume that product and that service. We'll be right back after this with the Breakfast Review segment. Well, thank you so much for still being with us here on GH Today. It's time for the breakfast review segment where we get to discuss pertinent issues, especially those making the rounds, and also topical issues in the country. And my guest is already seated. I have Elikem Kotoko here. He's
some way, somehow, I'm always going to be in the bush. And always moving about. But the greater challenge is this cancerous albatross we have on our neck, which is the illegal mining, the depletion of our forests, which is destroying our vegetation cover, which affects the water we drink, and it's also killing aquatic or destroying or killing the aquatic life in our water bodies, polluting the water bodies itself, further damaging our landscape and even the fertility of our lands, which is penetrating through to the crops or our crop yield and many others, such as affecting our health, putting further pressure on the health budget, amongst other things. And this is just out of the greed of very few who, for want of a better word, are not patriotic enough to put country first, but put themselves. And so I am glad to be done that honor.
Right.
I'm equally very lucky to have a sector minister who is very appreciative of this task, Honorable Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa.
very, very vocal.
Member of Parliament for Elembele. And then also a CEO who also is a forester with 30 years experience, Dr. Hugh C.A. Brown. So I found myself, even though as a freshwater sailor, but I find myself in an environment where I'm very well welcomed and given the opportunity to also learn. So I'm doing that catch-up fast. And I appreciate the staff of the Forestry Commission.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And I'm sure that, like you said, President John Mahama might be aware that you're a man who likes to be on the grounds. And so, yes, the position was given. And so far, we're told that some forests have been claimed from illegal mining. Give me an update on that.
Yeah, this is an ongoing exercise which we will not relent on. President Mahama has made it very clear. He is not opposed to mining, but he frowns on irresponsible and illegal mining, which is what is causing the various devastating conditions I just made mention of. The scourge is such that if you ever pay a visit to any of these places, you will be surprised to see that some of our landscapes now have turned to deserts. And so we need to have a whole reclamation exercise, which is a further cost to government. And then he has made it very clear that stay a certain meters away from the water bodies. And this is not the word of His Excellency President Mahama. It is what the law states, so that we do not destroy the water bodies.
Right.
You do not mine in our water bodies. You also do not just move into our forest reserves and start to deforest because you want to mine for a mineral resource. Don't forget, while you are mining for that mineral resource, the forest reserve is also a natural resource that we must preserve, and its management is very key. And so I am glad that President Mahama is walking the talk. If you recall, some 8 or 7 years ago, a certain President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, made a solemn pledge to the people of Ghana publicly and to the international community that at cabinet, at a point in time, when he took the bold decision to confront the Galamsey menace, cabinet questioned that it could affect his presidency. And he assured them that he was ready as president to put his presidency on the line in that battle. 8 years down the line, it was just an empty rhetoric.
But he said he did, actually. He suffered because when you look at the votes margin between 2020 and between the 2016 and 2020 elections, he clearly suffered.
President, that is another topic for a different day. President Akufo-Addo or the NPP didn't lose elections because of Galamsey. They lost elections because of the wanton corruption, the arrogance of power, amongst many things, especially the the high expectations they gave Ghanaians and underperformed abysmally. And so those were the conditions that resulted into the figures we saw at the polls at the 2024 December 7th polls. But for a president to put his presidency on the line, only to come out and later tell you and myself and the public that he was unaware whether even GHOne was deported, was what were the terms he used? I've forgotten. That was a president that was not in charge of affairs. That was a president who didn't know what he was about as president. That was a president that showed that he was not receiving briefings, yet he sat to speak to the people. And so if you look at the things that happened in the past, where we have footages that showed party people of the erstwhile NPP regime involved in timber logging or illegal timber felling and the Galamsey exercise and many others. It became an enterprise for the select few who had power, and that destroyed our water bodies very much. If you recall further, as of 16th February, I think 9th February 2016, there was video footage that showed how clean our water bodies were. And from that time to when they took over power, a year and so after, then we began seeing a very brownish coffee color, Milo-looking water body. And it's sad how some of our water processing plants from Ghana Water Company are telling us or had to shut down some of their plants because the turbidity of these water bodies were so high that treating it was almost impossible. And you see, somebody who is watching us today may not appreciate this that much because you are in Accra, thinking that you see clean water come out of your pipes, but you eat fish. You probably even take bushmeat. You take some other crops. You feed from some other crops that are from those places. It has effects on us. Right. Parents are giving birth to children that are having some very abnormal or defects, and some are having stillbirth and many other health situations that can be directly linked to the effects of the chemicals that are used in processing or in mining, which are very unorthodox means that our brothers and sisters use. It is also the reason why it is very instructive today to commend His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama that with 56 appointees, not yet even reached the 60 he promised Ghanaians, he has cancelled e-levy and removed the betting tax, amongst other things. But the most significant one is that yesterday he launched the Ejumawura program, which seeks to what? To create an avenue that provides the opportunity for our young men and women who will be mentored, who develop or hone their skills in business development, so they can also advance that idea they have to be business moguls of their own tomorrow. And then tomorrow also there shall be the launch of the National Apprenticeship Program. Why am I saying these? Then also will be the Mahama Care Program. The National Apprenticeship Program seeks to also take our brothers and sisters who may not have either the high IQ supposed to be required for certain educational practices. So it's not everybody who can be a medical doctor, not everybody can be an engineer, but you agree with me that there could be a young man who will go and learn fitting to become what we call a mechanic, and that mechanic may sometimes do the work much better than even an engineer who has sat in the classroom. And there are our younger brothers and sisters whose expertise will be, or skills or interests are in these things. So the National Apprenticeship Program will equip them with those skills, training, hairdressing, masonry, and all of that.
Plumbing, among all that.
Plumbing, etc.
An X amount of money, if he succeeds to get gold in the ground, how will you convince that young person to now move from that and perhaps take a trade in carpentry? It takes
more of education. Okay. And when there's education, there's so much advocacy. Advocacy allows for the person to know the unknown. And that will enable them now appreciate the fact that, okay, I am being told that this exercise I'm engaged in, even though it's giving me X amount, it has Y effects on my community, on my health, on the society, on the nation, amongst other things. Right. For instance, where you are rather engaging and leading foreign nationals from China, Korea, wherever, to go and deplete your forests, to go and degrade your lands, when they are even caught, we are allowing them to go back without prosecution. Now, you who is here, you are rather likely to face prosecution. What it means is that you are a grade A, a high-end or grade A classification risk person compared to that fellow. Would you want to continue that task? So if you are making X amount from this, but we are providing you an alternative which may give you maybe Y amount, comparing the risk and so many other variables, we are telling you that it is better you go here. And when you are doing this, there are some other benefits. You will now get the ability to, you will be able to go to school and do other things. Right. I came across footage of two, three or four Ghanaian who are schooling at the University of Ghana. Okay. And they confessed they were also into illegal mining but have repented. And I think those people could be used as ambassadors. Let me also state that other Forestry Commission and other stakeholders in that enclave, for instance, can decide to have serious advocacy programs aimed at going to these communities, educating the people very well. And if our mining companies also institute better scholarship programs or regimes, that would make the community also benefit from some of these. It would alleviate that canker of many wanting to go into Galamsey, because they know that if I go to school, I'll get a scholarship. If my memory serves me right, my dad is an engineer who was working with Terebe Goldfields way back. And I recall back in secondary school, I benefited from some scholarships from Terebe Goldfields. And so if many also feel, just like the cocoa farmer can benefit from some scholarships from Cocoa Board, we should institute something like that. Mind you, President Mahama has also, will be making efforts to make sure we establish, for instance, a mining hospital or mining hospitals, if we can, at more than one places. So people in those enclaves can also benefit from health assessment. Reason being that there are certain diseases that are only likened or attributable to people within those enclaves, the mining area. And I recall, for instance, way back in 1997 when I was in Takwa, when it rained, you will not notice, but if only you put a white object or a white substance or a white cloth in the rain, and it falls on, then you will see how dark the rain is. Then you will know the white cloth turns black, no color but black. It tells you those are the effects of the mining explosions and all that which is done over there. So there's the need for us to embark on more education to make sure that our people see the need to change from that. And so I am commending President Mahama for walking the talk. He's not saying that which he cannot do. He says he's going to institute the GHOne program. He did launch that yesterday in Kumasi. Tomorrow he is launching the National Apprenticeship Program in Tamale. Then I am aware also, I think today, I don't want to get it wrong, but the Mahama Care Health Program will also be launched. And this is a president who is walking the talk. He promised that he was going to move it.
Those who are in the environmental space, some of them are not happy with the president because they say President Mahama promised to revoke LI 2462. As it stands now, the next thing they had was an amendment, and so there's been that crusade that let's revoke it.
That is the only cardinal interest many have found to be a bit at variance with what President Mahama or the NDC promised. As a government, you may come to power and then realize that there may be the need to tweak some things different from what you thought. But in order not to necessarily be seen as holding brief, I think that will be left for the legislative arm of government to look at. And so it is not cast in stone that even though we are saying that you want it repealed or somebody wants it revoked or what have you, I mean, the technical jargons and the legislative terminologies be left to them to look at eventually. If I am asked, for instance, I am working at Forestry Commission, it is my wish that when we even arrest the foreign nationals, the Chinese, the Koreans, whatever, the law says we should prosecute them.
Yeah.
So we should prosecute them so they serve their tenure before we even deport them.
Like personally, that's the position.
Yes, that's the position.
That we should
that's the position.
them,
That's the position I hold, because when I got onto the field and saw the extent of damage these gentlemen were doing, and mind you, for instance, I do not see how much value they even add to our economy. The dresses they wear, they bring from China or wherever. The food they eat, they bring from China or wherever. A lot of canned foods and all of that. Even the cigarettes they smoke, they bring it all from China.
So they import almost everything.
And how they send these monies, etc., we don't even know. And therefore, we must serve punitive measures in order to deter others from coming on. And I would even advise my own government that I wish we look at that to see how well we can really look at that to make sure that we serve major deterrent to the foreign nationals who come and they feel that they can do anything. But you see, again, you can sometimes say that they are not fully so culpable because the Chinese man doesn't know your forest. The Chinese doesn't know your river bodies. It is you, the local, who take them there. It is why, to some extent, also you will need to understand that this is somebody who is maybe, some way can be absolved to be a bit innocent or a bit.
Not absolved.
Yes, but I'm just telling you that after all, he didn't know the landscape. He has come to visit me. Saka has come to visit me. And I'm telling you that, okay, I can take you to this place and that place, and this is what you do. I'll let you go and greet this chief and that chief. And that is how come they even set up some of this. They do some, what they call settings. They make them go and meet some people in the name of chiefs and communities, which is all set up. And then they dupe some of them. You get it? So we need to look at all of this. The most important thing I would want to say before finally is that this battle will be won if we engage our traditional authorities. Our traditional authorities wield so much power when it comes to our land tenure system. And so the chiefs play an integral role, the traditional authorities, the opinion leaders, the youth groups and stakeholders. If they all are seen and involved, that is why advocacy is very key. If they are all involved in this exercise, the problem will be half solved. And with the president showing the will and commitment to combating that, I want to commend the Defense Minister, Honorable Dr. Edward Omani-Boama, and his deputy, Broja Jemfi, then also the sector minister, and also the IGP, as well as the national security, for the collaborative efforts we have all marshaled so far in making sure we clamp down on these. And this exercise is going to continue to make sure we bring down to the knees this enterprise which is destroying our country.
Fantastic. So Saka Salia has joined us. He's communications team member of the New Patriotic Party. Saka, good morning.
Good morning, Joshua.
I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing fantastic.
Nice.
Yes.
So I mean, really, we've seen governments fight towards illegal mining. So earlier, Elikem reminded us of the point that President Akufo-Addo at the time, when he was president, put his presidency on the line, but we didn't see much materialize then. And now, President John Mahama is fighting the Galamsey fight, if I should put it that way. What's your assessment of the efforts put in place in this last couple of months to stamp out illegal mine? Because we've seen a whole community, Aberanenkai, we've been told that 10,000 people who were hugely involved in illegal mining all clamped down on, forests have been reclaimed and all of that. Government is doing well, is it?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning to our cherished viewers. Good morning to my brother. Ever since he became a big man, we have met.
I'm still the same man. Don't add big to it.
Yeah, I think that some of us, most of the time, we don't want to play politics with this whole thing. But what has plagued us over the years is the fact that we've made politics to assume the debate, and therefore it makes it very difficult to tackle. in the sense that, because Galamsey has been with us for a very long time, and it took center stage when avarice became the order of the day. People became very greedy and wanted money at all costs, irrespective of whether it goes with lives. That's the reason why in the past, maybe President Mahama, described it as a mass murder. And almost everybody described it in their own terms. But we decided that, okay, at a point, we decided that because the matter is a hard-headed problem, a problem that confronts us and we find it difficult to let it go, let us hang it on a particular government to play politics and get some political benefit out of it. That is the reason why this thing still persists. You remember where you just, aptly put it, that Nanado said he was going to put his presidency on the line. Indeed, he put his presidency on the line. Yeah.
How?
I will explain to you. Indeed, he put his presidency on the line. When the Galamsey operation, Galamstop operation, so many operations, Vanguard and all manner of operations. In that, at that time, if we as a nation had all supported, giving our all to that, I think by now we would have succeeded. But we have a situation where the Operation Vanguard was working, other people were pulling the string and making it look like nothing was happening, and all that. And even going to counter this whole issue by going to the mining areas and telling them that after we there, we love you more than the really MPP government. They are catching you and imprisoning you and incarcerating you and all that. So if we come, we will give you amnesty. So please, don't mind them. Even one of them, a national executive, said that when you hear that your mama has won, go back to your work. It didn't help us. It makes it look like the government that is fighting for generations unborn and our environment did not care for them, because we had to allow some of the greedy people to continue to do it, and to the extent that the president himself, the current president himself, was the one doing it, telling them that the big fishes has not been arrested. In criminal jurisprudence, you don't if two people commit a crime, you don't arrest one and leave one to go. It means that the two conspired, and you charge them for conspiracy. So don't say that this because this one is a big fish, I'll arrest that one and let the other one go.
So you're saying these comments were what made it look as though the MPP failed in dealing with
exactly. So
when did these comments come?
No. The comments. 2016 thereabout. The lead up to 2020 election. So it makes. Before you even fight Galamsey, you need to have political power. You remember? Those days throughout the mining areas, the MPP lost, and therefore, as human beings, they too thought, maybe we have to do something to still maintain power, and there should be a thin rope. A rope between fighting it and maintaining power.
I'm confused.
No, you shouldn't.
I am confused.
No, everybody. I'm sure you understood me.
Yeah. But I am the host, and I'm not getting the point.
The point is so clear. It's so clearly made that the kind of hardness, hard-handedness with which the government should have gone, it did not do it so. But what the government did was...
So then you sacrifice the fight against the
let me explain to you.
On the altar of political votes?
Let me explain to you. The government in 2018 actually put moratorium on all, not even illegal, all small mining programs. The allowances were suspended in every small mining for 2.5 years. What was it? In order for us to be able to now get the policies in place and then we move on. I mean, within that period, we all know that, I mean, there is no way that you can completely stop it. What you can do is responsible mining. The government trained those who were into the Galamsey, went to University of Mines, trained about 3,000 of them. We did so many things that culminated in the community mining program, because these are our resources that needed to be tapped to move us out of poverty. But because some people have decided to become irresponsible, it's ebb into all of us. I mean, the consequences of their irresponsibility, you know, is bear by all of us. And therefore, the government decided that let's walk that rope so that we will be mining, but the mining will not be irresponsible mining.
Right.
That was what I was telling you earlier.
Okay.
So, but if you wanted to stop it all together, we will stop it and people will go hungry. And especially if you look at the people who engage in this, about 3 million Ghanaians engage in this small-scale mining.
But isn't that what the president then meant by putting his presidency on the line?
Yeah.
So regardless of the consequences, I am fighting this.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if 3 million people will lose their livelihoods. Because I've put my presidency on the line, they can lose their livelihoods. I want to stamp out Galamsey.
No, but
That's not what he meant.
No, but you see, you don't come as president and say people should lose their livelihood.
Okay.
You have to.
Even though it's illegal.
You see, you have to measure it and ensure that you walk the tightrope so that everybody will live and live well. It's not so much, but especially you have to ensure that the greater majority of the people benefit. You know, that's what should ring in everybody's mind.
Okay.
Let the people do their work responsibly. Give them options. Bring equipment that will ensure that responsible mining is done without damaging the environment. That brought these free machines that we came out with.
Right.
And ensure that when people do the mining or do whatever, I mean the small scale mining, they are able to reclaim the land and all that. We did all these things. But the civil society organization, NDC and other groups said that our effort was not good enough.
Okay.
And therefore, if given the opportunity, they can stop it within.
And the opportunity has been given.
Yeah.
And they're working on it. We've seen arrests.
No, I'm not saying they are not working on it. I mean, even giving the opportunity to you,
right.
even you'll be able to do something.
So what's your assessment of what
whether or not what you will do will be good enough is a problem. I am not saying that the NDC is not doing anything.
Right.
But you see, their words have become a thorn in their flesh. That is number one. Okay. I mean, they told us that they can solve that problem within 18 days. And today they are telling us that it's a lifelong fight.
18 days?
Yeah, that's what they told us.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, some of them told us. That
they told you?
Yeah, no, I mean, on air. that within 18 days, Galamsey can be stopped and all.
Realistically, Saka,
we knew that. I mean, I know.
18 days,
I know it was
realistically.
just a political talk.
Okay.
Yes, but those gullible ones did believe that indeed they can stop it. And that was the reason why they were making noise in Accra that, hey, stop Galamsey. But when they go there, they say, don't stop Galamsey. You get what I mean? So I'm saying.
Right.
But for the words that they use, and the fact that they actually said that the MPP was not doing well enough, I wouldn't have had problem with them. Because I've seen that they are also doing something. But it's so poorly done or slowly done, you know, much to the pace that we would have loved. Okay. A political party that make a lot of noise in opposition.
Right
now, if you go almost everywhere that you go, those who really engage in the Galamsey are the NDC people, because they said, I mean, if you go to any constituency within the Galamsey area, that when the MPP came, they allowed their people, which is completely false. And so this is our time. You remember what happened in Obuasi, where even a company as big as that, they wanted to take over that company.
I with what you're saying, that those involved in illegal mining now are NDC people. I mean, I've also heard reports that suggest that people now intentionally say that, thinking that they'll be shielded. because
well, I mean, we cannot verify their.
So I'm saying that we cannot draw.
We cannot go and asking them that what bring your party card and all those things. But see, the community people know them. See, they know them.
They know them. Okay.
They know them. If you are NDC, if you are NDC, you won't even dare to say that you are MPP because the people know themselves.
Okay.
So with the boldness with which they say it, we've seen constituency chairmen and all those people who said that this is our time, and therefore I mean there is no way anybody can stop us and all that. I mean the impunity with which they do it tells you that this cannot be MPP people.
Okay.
Because they are in opposition.
Okay.
And would fear the Lord.
Right.
So I am saying that it is about time that we work devoid of politicizing the issue.
Okay.
Because the environment, the devastating effects affect all of us.
Okay.
And therefore, if you say that, okay, let's use politics to fight it, as we are here in opposition right now, if I wanted to use the same brush with which the NDC painted us, I don't think that we'll get a solution to this problem.
So I think there's one thing we both agree, or we all agree here, that we should fight the Galamsey fight devoid of politics. Well, I'll give Elikem his bit on this, but after this break, we need to go for a quick break. When we come, then we can also have your take on that. Then we can look at other matters also, because there's a protest that happened also because of Galamsey. Well, this is J Today here on GHOne Television. We'll be right back after this break. All right, welcome back, and we'll continue our conversation. I have Saka Salia here. He's a communications team member of the NPP, and then Elikem Kotoko, deputy organizer of the NDC, and also the acting deputy CEO of the Forestry Commission. Elikem, before we went on the break, Saka had made some comments talking about the fact that, well, your own words and your own commitments during the tenure of President Akufo-Addo has come back to bite you.
Well, I disagree. I mean, I'm surprised to hear some of the things Saka was saying. That, for instance, he heard people say that the NDC assured Ghanaians that in 18 days we're going to stamp out Galamsey. I'm sorry. I mean, our viewers are mature beyond this. And I think that kind of politics is gone with President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia. We have moved into an era where governance is serious business. And you see, you cannot damage or cause such destruction to a country through this illegal mining over a period of 8 years and expect that within 18 days it is solved. Even the toddler who is in school knows that when it is easy to destroy but very difficult to, or more challenging to rebuild. And so to restore our clean water alone will take a lot of effort to make sure we completely stop more than 80 or 90% of these people who are mining in our water or close to our water bodies. And this cannot take 18 days.
Right.
And so that is why I commend even the guys who were embarking on the demonstration yesterday. I'm told they are continuing today.
You commended them?
I want to commend them.
Why?
I mean, it's a right to demonstrate. And you see, President Mahama will feel more challenged to even continue to fight the battle. Reason being that it is in their right to demonstrate that, look, we need to see a fight against this. They are not saying that we are not fighting it. They are only saying that continue what you're doing. And I only found out that some of the participants in the demonstration did not know the purpose for which they were demonstrating, because when they were interviewed, they were saying there's economic hardship, the times are hard and things. So I got lost if they were rented crowd for the purpose. But that is just, I don't want to deviate from the substance of why they demonstrated.
Right.
And that is because there's a president who is a listening government who wants to make sure that we solve this problem. And in solving it is to put in pragmatic measures that will be visible for everybody. Okay. You in the media have seen the arrests that are ongoing, the exercises that are ongoing. It is not a matter of giving jargons, Operation Galamsey, Vanguard and all of that. Go deep into it and you will see the rot that even went on there, which is why it couldn't succeed. But we do not want to venture in there because it's going to be an exercise in futility. There's the need. We have gotten the power now through the people. Do what you promised the people that you were going to do. They say, for instance, when they placed a moratorium on even the illegal mining and all that, if you recall, go back to the records, the Ghana's production of gold increased from the range of the 3 million ounces to 4 million. What happened? So while there was a certain form of ice placed on that, it is believed that people within government were themselves trading and embarked in on that exercise. Can we not easily mention the names of George AEC, Frimpong Boateng's report, Charles BCU, and the others? I am yet to hear of any NDC person that has been officially cited in any document anywhere as being involved. Did we not also see that footage of John Boedu's drivers involved in logging, etc.? Did we not see all of that? There's no need for that, however. There's the need for us to now focus and make sure we fight the battle. It is the reason why we want to make sure that we put in measures to deter people. For instance, in subsequent days or weeks to come, we are recommending that even you go to certain communities and welders are openly manufacturing not the shamfans, the grizzly sieve. And you see them displayed openly by the side, and which is a tool used for illegal mining. We must stop those things so that even people who are seen manufacturing these things are brought to book. And so we are focused on making sure that we nip this and do it right for Ghana to get better. And it is not by just mere coincidence that as a party, as a government, we have chosen the mantra of resetting Ghana. And that is the course on which President Mahama has embarked.
Okay. Well, Saka, I mean, away from illegal mining, because, yes, we have other topics to exhaust also. What's happening with the MPP? You were supposed to embark on a thank you tour, but looks like the fallout from the thank you tour is not necessarily thanking Ghanaians.
What do you mean by the fallout?
So, after the thank you tour, now we have had people now bashing the former vice president that the comments he made is rather trying to shift blames. He shouldn't destroy the legacy of President Akufo-Addo. And I'm asking, these are the same people who used to champion the cause of Dr. Bawumia. Paragraph sat in my studio, and he even prayed in tongues. I cannot forget it. That Dr. Bawumia was the one chosen by God to lead Ghana. Now he's written an open letter. We've seen responses. What is happening? What is happening?
Yeah, thank you very much, Joshua. First of all, I think that it's in order that the former vice president and the other party functionaries, including those who vied for the flag bearership position with him, are together and are going around the country thanking the electorate for either voting for them or against them. The thank you cast across those who did not even go to vote, because we have learned a big lesson from their actions. That is it. And this is a very focused and a very, objective tour. The tour is for healing. It's to ensure that we say it as it is and heal ourselves. Apart from everything else, it's not to go out there and praise ourselves. And let me put this thing on record, that there is no human being on earth, dead or alive, that have been very loyal to Nana Akufo-Addo more than Bawumia in terms of his politics. If it's other areas, you cannot challenge the wife in other areas or family business. But in terms of his political life, leading to him becoming a president. And even as a president, Bawumia had always been everywhere, highlighting, explaining, even bringing some of the ideas that enabled the government to govern very successful for 8 good years. And therefore, he is not somebody that anybody will say that he's not loyal to Nana Akufo-Addo, or he is maybe casting insinuations.
As it stands now, he's been accused of blaming
by who?
Akufo-Addo. Paragraph, I've mentioned
I mean, maybe don't go there.
I've mentioned.
No problem.
Yes.
No problem. It's still an opinion of 2 people.
Okay.
2 NDC functionaries.
You call them NDC?
Oh, they are functionaries. What are they?
Your former sponsperson for governance and securities and
no, I mean, what do you mean?
Former
wait.
For the education ministry. NDC functionaries.
These are functionaries. I'm not downgrading him or trying to do anything, but I'm saying that these are political, our party functionaries who disagree with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And there's no problem about it. They have their opinion. And they can base their opinion at any time. Nobody cares. But I'm saying their opinion cannot supersede the opinion of the larger MPP. The larger MPP, we all know, is that Bawumia spoke the truth. Bawumia did not mention anybody's name. Why do you push Nanado to what Bawumia said? I mean, indeed, all of us know that you cannot have a government for 8 good years without seeing traces of arrogance in some people. Just like you see traces of humility in others. Definitely, I mean, these are human institutions. You definitely see people who are arrogant. I mean, NDC, anytime they lost power, we've always indicated arrogancy. I mean, even before they get even 5 months, we've seen the arrogancy exhibited in some of them. That I sack you. Go home. I mean, you go and sack a whole professional that have spent his life studying and working. Then without any report. I sack you, go. We've seen what happened in Kumasi, I mean, so many other areas. But that is not what defines the government. So, if you have a propagandist opposition that take one or two of those things and magnify it to the larger community and say that, okay, the NPP is arrogant, and then they can play some of those arrogant behaviors that people exhibited. And some people say, oh, maybe I'm arrogant, but I wasn't in government. I mean,
so how is this all playing into the unity agenda?
So the Bawumia is saying that arrogancy that some of us exhibited in power is something that we should eschew. How would anybody say that, oh, that refers to Nanado? Or is Nanado saying that
it's not just
there has never been anybody within government that exhibited trace of arrogance?
It's not just
the e-levy, for instance.
Yes.
I'm shocked that Pelgrave or whoever with him will say that Bawumia did not play a role. Indeed, even before the e-levy was passed, Bawumia was on Kwame Sifaka Peace FM on an interview. And he said that for him, he disagreed with the e-levy. And he said that he will stand his ground to ensure that it doesn't come to fruition. And I mean, this is not like some surreptitious meeting somewhere. This was broadcast live for every Ghanaian to hear. His disagreement even the e-levy. And how was he coaxed into accepting that? He ensured that even before he accepted the e-levy, because it was a cabinet decision. And he said that if you bring e-levy, you are going to overburden the poor. And that the only thing that will suffice is for us to give some cushion to the poor. And that was when he suggested that at least a day, 100 Ghana cedis should be made free for the poor. So that after that...
So it was Dr. Bawumia's intervention.
That led to the fact that when you are sending money under Ghana cedis,
yes, there will be no e-levy.
There will be no e-levy tax on it. That was his brainchild.
So then it cannot be said that Dr. Bawumia is not taking responsibility. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you even look at the NPP manifesto, the Bawumia manifesto, he promised to do away with the e-levy.
Okay.
So why would anybody say that? Oh, it is not true that he was part of it. He is not saying he wasn't part of it because he's a cabinet member. Right. He's the second in command. And therefore, he accepts responsibility, whatever that. But his individual responsibility or his individual contribution and a disagreement are known by everybody.
Okay.
So
let me bring Alikem in quickly.
So the tour, for me, is a very successful one. Okay. Some people, I mean, Pelgrave, for instance, I mean, nowadays he's espousing different things other than the ideology of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and therefore I'm not surprised he will go anywhere and then say those things.
Okay.
Kwasi, for instance, I still don't know his leaning, whether he still supports the Bawumia project or he's going somewhere else. And therefore I will not also be surprised. Yes. I will not also be surprised if maybe he's also out and therefore want to see something that will bring the name of Dr. Bawumia into disrepute. But as it is now, Dr. Bawumia is focused on ensuring that we have unity within the party, ensure that the party heal from the defeat that we had in 2020.
Alikem, now what do you make of all that is happening? I mean, on the thank you tour, I mean, yes, in 2016 when the NDC lost, you embarked on a thank you tour, this time in 2020. But this what we did not hear much of this as compared to obviously.
You see, sometimes some political parties copy very blindly. If the NPP had sat down to properly consult or discuss the causative agents of their defeat, an expert would have advised them to demonstrate to the Ghanaian that we are sorry, not to just say thank you. Thank you for what? For voting us out? Or thank you for the 38%?
But you also
Please.
Yeah, please, I was quiet when you were talking.
No.
Saka.
We never had 38.
I was quiet.
Wait.
So that's the intervention.
No. So let him correct it.
Okay.
He knows the figure that we have.
Okay.
We never had 38%.
After that embarrassing defeat, the likes of Saka are the reason why probably the NPP is in this mess. Let me tell you why. As one of the spokespersons of the party, on this set, he has demonstrated where he belongs. And you will agree with me. He is even saying that people do not hold the ideology of Bawumia. Is your party about Bawumia? Who is Bawumia when you talk about NPP? I shouldn't even care about that.
Former vice president.
It doesn't matter.
Flag bearer of the
It doesn't matter. The party's interest supersedes any individual. So for you to even be saying that Palgrave suddenly, he seems to espouse ideologies, he's been saying things that are different from Bawumia's ideology. Is your party now about Bawumia? In case you have even forgotten, elections are over, Bawumia's tenure has ended. You must be looking forward to how to put in leadership that is credible enough to be able to move you. Your leadership at even the party level have failed and therefore are lashing on to straws. At the least opportunity, they say they are talking to defend CJ. They say they are talking to have a demonstration. Everybody is trying to find some relevance in order to be maintained in their positions. Nobody is taking responsibility. And have we not known Alhaji Bawumia for this? Always blaming everybody but never ready to take responsibility. What happened? Suddenly he has switched from the King Paluta music to gospel songs. He thinks the Christian community will fall for this kind of... See, Ghanaians are wise. I have said this. And the same will apply to even the NDC if we make that same mistake. You have seen people say, we now need to open the doors and welcome Paul Afoko and the likes. Yeah. For Christ's sake, you think Paul Afoko is so stupid? You think Paul Afoko is so stupid that after you meted this treatment to him in 8 years, left his brother to rot in custody for this number of years, never did anything about, never felt the need. And we saw how you even used the judiciary, but not for Paul Afoko.
But that's allowing the law to take.
You think so? That would be hypocrisy personified by anyone who wants to define or defend whatever treatment was meted out to Gregory Afoko. Then today suddenly, in fact, the people who are even talking, saying Paul Afoko should be welcomed back, they are the greatest of hypocrites. They couldn't find their voices to speak openly. But you see how power is. You allowed a certain few to hijack and control your party to the extent that you could not say anything. Now, President Anado doesn't have power. They suddenly also feel they can speak. And so I find it so sad. Look, Alhaji Bawumia was saying, for instance, that the NDC won because we used their own words against them. That is a falsehood.
It's a partly.
Well, even if that is the case, then he, Alhaji Bawumia, was the first person who initiated that. Do you remember the statement? Which is the most profound of all the statements the NDC used. If the fundamentals are weak,
they exchange you to expose you.
So he, Bawumia, should be responsible, but he never owned up to any of such. Let me tell you, I do not massage words when I have to speak on these matters. Alhaji Bawumia should stop the clownish character and get serious. Governance is a serious business. And that is why I feel sad for my brother Saka as a young person. He may disagree with me, but let me say it. It is even advice I'm giving him. If I was him and you raise this matter, I would have found a better way to address this matter and say, look, the thank you tour is in a way to appreciate what Ghanaians have done. The fallout may not be acceptable, but we think as a party we need to sit back and regroup and look at what we need to do to forge ahead. But already he has demonstrated he has taken sides. And you think Kwesi Kwarteng, who belongs to Kennedy Japan, Palgrave, and the likes who now feel that they were gagged to fall in line, but now they have the freedom to express and associate, will not also come back and want to... Look, what is going to happen, probably, if care is not taken and if you guys continue on this tangent, will be worse than what we saw, will be worse than the showdown. Reason being that nobody now has the state power to abuse or control anybody. And so when you are going for your primaries, Alhaji Bawumia has given you the worst defeat ever. Is that not on record? He has demonstrated that of all the candidates you have presented from 1992 to the date, he's been the worst. Meanwhile, he was from government. So what did he do so wrong?
But Alikem has indicated that, in fact, he spelled out, he says,
Yes.
according to the report, the Okwe report, these are the things that led to our loss. So he's echoing the things that led to the defeat, so the party can reflect and
Do
then
they not
correct
know
those
it already?
mistakes.
Do they not know it already? So when you embark on a thank you tour, you now re-echo what is contained in the report? Has the report been made public anyways?
No.
Have you? I do not care whether they make it public or not. Some of it will leak anyways. So as leaders, what are you supposed to do? If you have the privilege of having that content, then when you go out, what you need to tell them is that we will need to improve. But you are telling them we got arrogant in power. He, Baumia himself, was the arrogant of all. When we were talking, what did he not say? Was he not passing certain silly comments against even the then opposition leader, the president, then candidate Mahama? When we were telling them it was arrogance, what did they say? Now they are fighting over whether it is 38%, 39%, 27 or 42. What may come before them the next time may be worse than the 38%. Okay. And I will be happy if they present Alhaji Baumia. Because
especially when your party does not know who exactly
we do not need to know who will be the next candidate. When the time is due, the right candidates, credible enough, will present themselves, and the NDC will choose one out of the lot, and that will be the person we all rally behind. If you bring Alhaji Baumia, I will be the most happiest. And that is why for me, I will not keep campaigning against him, that I would like them to bring him over. The very things he said in the past will still be played to him again. That is what I'm telling you. The most profound of the statements that led to their defeat is Alhaji Baumia's own statements. When he was promising airports and all of those things, those were the things, not the internal fight. Did the NDC not go for an internal contest? Did we not hear people say things against John Mahama, etc.? Did they not also say it? Why did it not materialize? So let us stop massaging our empty ego and rather confront the matters that resulted into our overwhelming, embarrassing defeat. You had the likes of Miracles Abuaji, who were always on set, filled with so much arrogance and not ready to listen to anybody. They knew it all. I hold nothing against him, absolutely nothing. But when it comes to principles and the ethics of politics and what they were doing, they were completely at variance. But they will not listen to anybody. Even when the media tries to speak, they either come at you or warn you, and you felt threatened. What did we not see in the past 8 years? There was even an Independence Day celebration. The president was virtually warning or threatening media people about press freedom. What did we not see in this country? So if you cannot accept that we need to sit around the table, Canada, Japan has ego. Alhaji Baumia is not as he's been projected to be. The other guy. Let us come around the table and agree what happened in the past was wrong. It didn't go well. And I expect the young men like Saka Salia to be championing this in order to be identified as persons who have the party at heart. We need to sit around the table and let's resolve this matter. Okay. But they have begun the blame game. And who started it again? Is Alhaji Baumia.
But he said that was no blame game.
What was it?
He was only stating the fact.
He even told you and I, he was not even aware of fuel price hikes. How could you, as head of the economic management team, not be aware of this? Suddenly, he thinks he can blame President Nadu for everything. And that will make us believe that he didn't have control. These were the same things he said and contained even his manifesto. Did he not talk about even cancellation of the e-levy? Why didn't Ghanaians say that, okay, then we'll allow you? So it appears the MPP is not learning from the culture of the Ghanaian to know that Ghanaians are wise beyond. Okay. And it is just by privilege that we are seated here. It does not mean we know better. Look, a lot of the people within the middle class were downgraded. They became the poor. And these are people who could see what happened. So if you cannot tell them concretely what you will do, but rather only be massaging your own egos, now there's going to be a major battle within the MPP itself. Right. Who is credible, who is not credible, who is a clown, who is a joke, who is loyal. And you see, they are talking about loyalty to individuals. You heard Saka, loyalty to Anado. The conversation we're having had nothing to do with loyalty. But he is talking about, they said any human being. By the way, once you say human being, they cannot be dead or alive. Human beings are only alive. If you say any human being, loyal, it is only Baumia. what has it got to do to add to your party? So because of loyalty, and you see, like the media have said and they denied in the past, President Nana then was rewarding loyalty over competence. They chose loyalty, and they still continue to choose loyalty over competence. Right. And this is what is putting them in the hole they find themselves, and they continue to dig further.
Okay.
Joshua.
Saka, let me I'm giving you the final bite, and then we wrap up.
I would not be shocked with my brother's submission here. His submission here has demonstrated that, indeed, when you talk about arrogance, you cannot take the NDC away from it. I mean, he has epitomized it here, exhibited it to the latter, by, first of all, insulting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's statement that he uses silly ways. You cannot call him a silly. I mean, for all intent and purposes, I mean, you do not.
Did you hear Bawumia say?
No. I'm coming. No.
He used silly words. He said that
please let me.
President Mahama was empty. Do you recall that?
Listen to me.
Was that not a silly word he used against Mahama then?
Mahama was indeed empty, and he still is.
Saka,
I mean, there's no two ways about that. There's no.
I will not even challenge. People are watching.
You sit here and create an impression that the NPP was just bound to lose the election, and that you painted Bawumia in lurid colors, as if Bawumia is not even cast for the position that he held as vice president, to the point that President Nana Akufo-Addo was rewarding loyalty instead of competence. Indeed, I mean, when we talk of competence, what do you know by competence? Everybody with even average sense, except those with obtuse, reasoning, know very well that when it comes to competence, you cannot compare even the current president with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in terms of competence of the economy and all that. I've told you the reason why we were in that situation.
Okay,
it's a global matter.
Sure.
And for you to now harp on it and create the impression as if Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he has now jumped from Kimpaluta. Look, he was not the production of Kimpaluta. I mean, everything that went on there. He only came to talk.
Right.
Do you understand? And as I'm speaking to you, that Kimpaluta is buying for, album of the year and those things. So we associate with success and all that. So I'm saying that the tour, you cannot tell us what to say when the matter of the tour is on stage.
Okay.
Because we decided that we want to do tour, and that tour, I told you, is part of our healing process.
And it's successful.
It's successful. It's also to ensure that those who voted for us and those who did not, even those who did not even go to the poll to vote, we are thanking all of them.
Okay.
This, as we are doing, is to ensure that we get the unity that we deserve.
Right.
If some detractors elsewhere are giving other opinions,
Also,
and then you think that,
you don't have
and then you think that you can harp on those to destabilize the MPP. I mean, people are sensible.
Okay.
People know and can read through your ways.
Thank you.
And you cannot use those ways to confuse anybody.
Okay.
We are focused, and we will ensure that after healing, we will recapture power.
Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you so much. I wish we could extend this for like an extra hour, but unfortunately we do not have the luxury of time. But thank you so much. Saka Saleh, a member of the NPP's communications team, and Elikem Kotoko, acting Deputy CEO of the Forestry Commission, here joining us for that conversation. Now we'll leave you and with a conversation that my colleague Sawami here had with Freddy Blay, your former chairman, talking on a myriad of issues. One of the things he said is that this administration can never stamp out Galamsey. But we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll link you to that particular interview. Stay with us. Once more for staying with us. Let's now cross over to that interview my colleague Sawami here had with Freddy Blay, former chairman, national chairman of the New Patriotic Party. They looked at the NPP, matters arising, and as well as an assessment of John Dramani Mahama's governance so far. Let's cross over now.
This is GH Today, and this is Hard Talk. I'm Sewami here. Today on Hard Talk, we are joined by a veteran of Ghana's political landscape. He was once a member of parliament. He was the first deputy speaker of Ghana's fourth parliament. He was a former chairman of the NPP. Frederick Blay, popularly known as Freddy Blay. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sawa.
It's good to have you on Hard Talk. How have you been?
I'm glad I'm here with you.
How have you been?
I've been in the class, but I'm picking up.
A couple of weeks ago, there were rumors that you had passed. Did you see it?
Yes, you showed it to me, yes. It's not the first time. Some years ago, some people came out with that. It's a prank. It's unfortunate. It's a very costly prank that people sometimes engage in. I wish they wouldn't do that, but that's how the world is. Once you get involved in politics and all other things, some will weave their mischief around you, make you a victim, in some cases for their own benefit. But we've been made aware of those who are involved in, and we are hotly.
Oh, you're aware?
Yes, I'm aware.
And what was the intention behind? Why would they do that?
Blockers, they want a lot of people to be watching them, coming to their blog, and then maybe they gain by that.
Have you taken any legal action against these people?
I am contemplating it, but what's the purpose? You see me live, isn't it?
Yeah.
The world also knows that I'm around. Those who make it, they only frighten, scare, and sometimes make people, have high pressure. I wish they wouldn't do that again. But who knows?
Right. One of the things we're going to talk about on the show today is try to unpack the NPP's loss in the 2024 elections. As a former national chairman of the party, I'm sure that you have had your own introspection of what happened. You lost by over 2 million votes. What, in your view, and from where you sit, accounted for that kind of loss, unprecedented loss?
I'm glad you said we lost about 2 million votes. If you look back, what parties performed, particularly in 2020 or even 2016, and the 2 million votes that we lost, if you compare it also to what the NDC gained about less than 200,000. It means there is something wrong which can be corrected subsequently. We lost it. Quite recently, people have had their own interpretation, their own analysis of the situation. And indeed, we even set up a committee. The party did set up a committee referred to as Professor Okwe's committee. They've also gone around the whole country, interviewed our members and others, then their own analysis had come out to the party leadership with their findings. We are all learning from it.
We will get to the committee's report, but I'm asking you personally, with all the experience that you have, what do you think accounted for the party's loss?
Maybe, and I kept a couple of weeks ago an argument, kept on saying that maybe, as you said, from my own perspective, party did not carry along, or the leadership, the government, did not carry along the bulk of our party men to support and be with and explain the hard measures we had to take to resuscitate the economy and keep it on an even keel. Some of the measures the government took were quite hard, costly at the votes. With the votes, that's what I'm saying. And I won't say it's obstinacy. Some say that we were not listening. We were. But it's because we're fighting to do more, to cut short the suffering the Ghanaians were going through and bring about development in a short time. But we need to keep the people along. And maybe we did not take time, not just communicators, but our own members, part of which I believe will be the 2 million that you referred to let them understand and not be angry, and come along, swallow some of the problems, and make sure that maybe the economy, just as it was picking up, will pick up for the future. But that's looking back. It has happened.
So you think that every decision that was made was in the best interest of the economy?
I believe I'm talking about economic measures that were people described as very harsh. They were measures that at the end of the day could have improved the economy. As it is, it was improving the economy. Though they were hard decisions, harsh decisions, and people were not very happy with it. I understand the public, understand the electorate, understand those who are in this country. It's difficult for many of us to swallow bitter pills. For even our health, sometimes we do. That when the doctor is administering very difficult medication, if you are not careful, some even spit it out.
But Mr. Blay, how do you juxtapose a country that is struggling so much, hence very biting decisions have to be made, which the people are not comfortable with, are not happy with spending so much money on other things that the same people say they want?
Let's move from stage to stage.
We will.
We're talking about measures.
Okay.
Economic measures.
That's fine. But I mean, one of the measures or one of the decisions, policy decisions that we're taking, which the people opposed vehemently to, was the passage of the e-levy. But you still went ahead to do it.
That's what I'm coming to. I'm saying the e-levy, we were dealing not with our own internal economy, but even with our own internal economy, we relate to external institutions, particularly Bretton Woods institutions, who may come to our help, and they also come out with suggestions that cover certain part of your expenditure with internally generated funds, or if you like, revenue. Very difficult. People are already suffering a bit. They say, listen, instead of forcing us to go 1 mile at a time, we say, look, let's make it one quarter. It may be helpful. It will end our suffering earlier and not spread it over time. But maybe the government was strong on that. Those handling the economy thought that, look, if we put up and we administer this very difficult medication, that is e-levy, it won't take too long. The economy will pick up and it will shorten our suffering. That many countries have done. And a lot of other countries with progress who have made strides, who have developed faster. That's what they did. And therefore, let's do it. But I said earlier on, like I was telling you, if we had taken time, not just say we decided on this, taking time to explain to our own membership, taking time to go to many, as I pointed out, about 2 million voters who abstained from voting, I suspect many of them would have been on our side. If you are taking time to explain to them, taking time to carry them along, we wouldn't be singing the same song. Yes, difficulties there were.
I don't know.
Difficult decisions had to be taken. And that's what the government did.
When you say that, you know, even the party people or the people who abstained from voting, the over 2 million people,
yes,
didn't get a proper understanding. I find that very difficult to believe, because the government held town hall meetings explaining the essence and the benefit of e-levy. At least in every region, they went on media platforms. You have a media, outlets. They were explaining what e-levy would do. You still think that the people didn't have an understanding when they were vehemently opposing to the bill?
Do that hard enough. Let me point out this. I had the privilege of being a member of cabinet.
Right.
I had the privilege of meeting all our leadership of the party at some meetings that the president called for the Ministry of Finance to explain to us the options and what we want to do.
Right.
Many of our political leadership, talking about party, chairmen and secretaries that came were a little doubtful and were not happy. They said, these people will not like it. Our people are complaining, so this we may not live to tell the story.
Right.
So why don't we drop that? Mm-hmm. But you see, the technicians on the economy, leadership of government, who have to take everyday decisions about what to do and how to go, sometimes think that, let's push it, because that's the only way.
Were you against it too?
Against the e-levy?
Yes.
Well, in terms of the numbers, yes, we said you should bring it down.
Okay.
Okay. But even then, it will still have extended the time of which you could come out of the woods.
Okay.
But as I said, I am not an economist. The technicians thought that was the best thing to do, so that we don't get indebted too much for too long to the IMF and the World Bank and co, those who are helping us.
Okay.
So that our problems will be shortened. Let's swallow it and go ahead. Of course, we misgauged. We thought we had done a lot of
and I'll come to that, Mr. Blay. But
maybe we're wrong.
Let's still stay on the reasons why the NPP lost. The party itself set up a committee, which you referred to,
yes,
the Michael Quay-led committee.
Yes.
Have you cited the report of that committee?
Not. I've had snippet of the content of the report. We met us, talked to us about it. But
You've been briefed.
We've been briefed. We talked about it, but not the full text of the report. Yes.
Okay. Will you make it public?
Why should we? I want to ask you, Sawa. I mean, it's talking about what happened and the way forward. These are, I will refer to as trade secrets. These are our reports that we have to keep. These are very, very sensitive reports. It contains a few reports, few statements by individuals and groups that if you make it public, we may be fighting against each other for no good. Besides that, we have opponents who may also read it. We've left some lessons from the past. If you give it up and people read it, sometimes they will, instead of using it to help out the cause of our party, some may use it against the party. So we will, the necessary parts of it, which may not lead to confusion, misrepresentation, mishandling, definitely we will let the party members know.
Well,
but not you.
Okay, you don't want me to know, I'm the general public, but your flag bearer,
yes,
has come out to say the reasons why he lost the election.
Some of them.
The main reasons.
That's what he said.
So he talked about e-levy
measures.
He's talked about the DDEP. He's talked about arrogance of power. He has talked about the National Cathedral, for instance. These
These are petty. National Cathedral.
National Cathedral is petty?
So far as I'm concerned, it's petty. Maybe you will find the use of it later on. Indeed, I, for one, over the National Cathedral, I supported it. I thought it's good. They don't see the need. People don't see the need. People criticize it. The media will go at it. But I knew, and I was convinced, if I've traveled around a few other countries, you see that they have national cathedrals and mosques. In the long run, it helps the country. In the long run, it brings people united. It is a national, a museum like that will be a national asset where it may end up even attracting more money than the money used for it. But be it as it is, being part of it, that was used against the party. Let's accept it. But as I said, it's about 56 or so million that was. It's not, it didn't dig a major hole in our economy. But of course, people use it. You went on to, earlier on to say... But do you agree, hold on the National Cathedral, do you, or have you looked at it in this way, that maybe if the government had come out to tell us this was the initial plan for which reason we needed the National Cathedral, people might have bought into it, rather than the president or the former president telling us that it was a personal promise that he made to God, that if he won the election, he was going to build him a National Cathedral. That's, you know what? Decisions are taken by leadership over what he says he made a personal promise to God, whatever it is that you want to talk about. Maybe it's a question of presentation. But since I am a leader, I made a promise that this country, I want people of this country to have free education, national health insurance. These are most often a decision that the leadership comes out with. If it turns out well, it's good. We're building Jubilee. Kufuor was building Jubilee. Some said they would make it into a Henku and thought it was unnecessary, waste of money. Today it is the house or the building that houses the leadership of the government. Kwame Nkrumah might have built this way, that is Tamba motorway to Accra, and was even standing somewhere. Some said it was useless. White elephant. Don't build certain. We need money to go to hospital and go. It was built. It's been useful. I'm saying that particular building that I don't believe will have cost us more than 100. That people have made so much noise about it. In the long run, I don't believe that even government of the day will abandon it over time. They may go back to it and construct it. But as I said, there was politics involved. Mr. Blay, you have traveled around the world. Yes. You talk about seeing these cathedrals in many other countries. But some of these countries are very well developed. No. Back in here, we are not developed. We still have children who are learning under school trees. We have sick people who are being treated on the floor. Are you a Christian? There are no beds. Are you a Christian? Yes, I am a Christian. When somebody brought very, very expensive oil to, as it were, clean the feet of Jesus, some said, why? You're wasting the oil. Why don't you go and give the poor people around? Instead of going to sell and use the money to give to the poor, you are doing that, you are wasting it. What did Jesus say? The poor will always be with us. It takes certain decisions to do certain things that people may think they are not priority. But leadership takes pain to make such decisions. At the end of the day, he still will judge. How do you convince the ordinary Ghanaian that we should put up a national cathedral when majority of its children are still learning under trees? Wait. Morocco built... You haven't answered my question, Mr. Blay. What I'm saying is that efforts to make people who learn in classrooms all over the country, we started it in 57, maybe even pre-67. We've been building on that. Maybe we may not end, some of us, in our lifetime. In America, where they say it's the first world, the best world, there is poverty. There are people without lights, some without water in America. America. So I'm saying that definitely this country is not heaven, and no one may be able to turn it into heaven. So other things, other priorities, and it is the decision of leadership. You may disagree that cathedral is not important. Those who go to churches say that people correct collection and what they pay in terms of their dues. I've forgotten what it is about.
The tithe.
Tithe, that's 10% of whatever they earn. And some of such individual churches have built up mansions. You may argue that it's not from our revenue. People pay for it. Some of them don't even pay taxes, but they use money for that. We allow that. It's the same way. But as I said, don't let's spend so much time on the cathedral, which was being used politically. And I am saying that I predict, maybe not 2 years, 3 years, I predict government that will come will realize that it was important and go back to it.
Okay.
But let the leadership of our party take the blame. This may have been part of it that had led to we being voted out. I say
not me. I'm also privy to certain details of the committee's report, and I am reliably informed.
Are you?
That is part.
I don't know
you haven't
details.
Seen that the National Cathedral was part of the reason. In fact, the flag bearer has even said it on a platform. He also cites arrogance of power.
Well, I will not put it this way. That's the arrogance of power. Maybe it's obstinacy in terms of standing firm that, look, we need it, irrespective of what people are saying. It's leadership leads, not led.
You're telling me, and the people watching, that when the people that you are ruling, governing, say they don't want e-levy, you go ahead and you pass the bill, and then you cut a cake on top of it. That is not arrogance?
No, listen. I know the details of what you were referring to as the cutting cake. It has a very funny history. What happened?
What happened?
I don't know. I'm told. If those who told me are not telling the truth, then call me a liar.
Okay.
But I'm told that at that particular party, friends of that individual who are on the other side jokingly brought it up there, and then it was cut. I said, immediately he left it. It's not just to mock at the people and say that more, and so forth. People exaggerated it. These are pranks that were committed.
But I don't remember anyone from the NPP coming to dispute that fact.
That it's all over. We know in our party, those have said I am privy, just as you are privy to some of them.
I'm not privy to this one.
And that's what's happened. I don't want to go into the details, but that's what happened. It's not the individual as I'm going to cut a e-levy party, a e-levy cake, and rob it in any case. Taxes were not going to be brought.
Did Osechi Mensah to tell you
that
this?
That is what I know for sure. That's
what he told you.
Not that he even told me. Those who were there, who were present for that occasion, they did.
Because that was his party.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying. A friend of his, he was in leadership of Parliament, and a parliamentarian who was on the other side brought it to him to do that, and then they thought it was just a joke, and people made mountain out of that molehill. But be it as it may, some people may say it's part of the problems or part of events that have led to our loss. I don't believe that. I believe that there were major economic decisions that affected a lot of Ghanaians, part of which I've already mentioned is e-levy, part of which may be cutting and the bonds that were frozen for old people and co. That was almost very painful, if not extremely painful for an individual. That these are some of the issues but even then, we could have found a way of reducing its impact by the way we handled it. Okay. But as I said, the technical men, the technicians on the economy who are bent on coming out successfully, coming out of making sure this country's problems, economic problems, are solved as soon as practicable, maybe did not gauge well the pace at which the Ghanaian public is ready to go.
Okay, you know, when Ghanaians or some persons in your party, for instance, talk about arrogance of power, that's not the
I don't want
thing
to call it arrogance of power.
Okay,
I would say that maybe it's obstinacy.
That's fine.
Sticking to what you think will do well for this country, and people thinking differently.
If you'd let me land,
Please,
there are some who say that a lot of the appointees then showed a lot of arrogance towards some of the people. Some people were neglected, some were disrespected, some were treated with disdain. And it wasn't just the presidency that was hit. Even members of parliament, mighty ones, seats that many people thought could have never been lost by certain people, were done. They were lost. And when you go into that constituency and you talk to the people, because I had the privilege of going to many constituencies in the run-up to the 2024 elections. And so I'm telling you on authority that some persons cited arrogance, for which reason they voted out then member of parliament for that constituency. Did you see it?
From your own perception, you are saying you're talking on authority. Some people...
From the people that I have spoken with.
A few people that you spoke to. Let's take it that some... You see, there is resentment in the industry of politics. There were some people who even told me myself, going around someplace that, look, we all used to play draft here. These days when you're coming, your what is it? Your windscreen or your window is rolled up. There is another condition in it. I'm passing through the dust sometimes. And if I roll it up, they say it's punishment. Why don't you let the dust also come in so that we all feel the same way? As I said, there's resentment, a lot of resentment. When people cite that, are you telling me that about 90 of our MPs lost it because they were arrogant? Or what? That because they were MPs, ordinary MPs, the pay of what they were receiving was the same pay they are receiving. So those who are receiving it now will not be arrogant. Is that what you are saying? As I said, yes, there are a few here and there faults. There are a few people who, because they went to power and were busy with the work they were doing, they lost some of their friendship. And there are a few people who might not even, they were busy, wouldn't take telephone calls like they used to do. People blame them for that. Say, hey, we were all together. These days you don't even take. Yesterday some friends came here, members of parliament who had then lost their seat. He said, look, we used to be very good friends. We used to call him and he answers. Some even say the president, when you call him, he doesn't answer. Quite recently, I saw it on the TV. A young man from Kumasi, I've forgotten his name. He said, this is before he was telling the present president. So I said, we are watching. Accusation of arrogance, or I'll call it a little bit mildly, that instead of arrogance of power, say obstinacy in terms of some of the things we're doing. But for them to say that they've changed the attitude now, because we've made them MPs, or we voted for him as president, these days he doesn't respect us. The Ghanaians will accuse you of that. That even you interviewing me, you know, me, everybody knows. You used to have your own friends in school. Right? They say, some of them will say it. Someone now passes, it thinks is better than all of us.
No, I'm still friends with them.
What?
I'm still friends with them.
You are telling me some of them you are not friends with. It happens like that.
It has nothing to do with my job. You know, but let's move on. You know, there are some people who in your party who have said that President Akufo-Addo should take the blame also for the defeat of the party in the 2024 elections. Do you agree?
He's a leader. He was a leader, the president for 8 years.
They cite reasons why he should take the blame.
Please, I'm saying he was a leader. Leadership take blame. But we must collectively take the blame. I want to point out a lot of things, very good things, positive things that the president worked hard to achieve. But of course, when something happens, it's not the vote against him, because after all he's left, we couldn't continue. It was a rejection of our party, the government, and for that matter, maybe even the presidential candidate. Look at it from that angle. I don't want President Nana Akufo-Addo to take the whole blame. He has come out boldly, said, yes, blame me for what have happened. But that to me is a bold face, and somebody who wants to say, leave my followers, and I will take the whole blame for myself. I don't want to do it. I look at it differently. We all, members of our party, leadership of our party, members in government, those who were given certain positions, we might have contributed in a little way here and there. But in principle, few economic policies that we pursued, which I'm saying were not done to punish. Even Jesus says that, the father, me the father, if you ask for bread, how can I give you snake? If you ask for water, I give you poison. I want to be popular. Party, government wants to be popular. But it depends on how you want to go about it. What we did, and I'm saying the policy of e-levy, the policy of, what is it? A few things that had been mentioned.
The DDEP.
The DDEP and co. were meant for good. But maybe we introduced it too harshly and did not convince those for whom we owed an explanation. We could have carried them. We failed with our relationship with the party. The ordinary people should have done a little more.
The same party that asked the president then to let Ken go, the finance minister, that he didn't listen?
Well, people have mentioned that. The president had his own reason. I will say, I at one time also asked, I did make comments publicly that I wish he had done it. But that one is not so much because people were not doing well. But I'm saying there's a proverb in our language that sometimes and for shaking reasons, I would have asked some of them to leave, or have shuffled a little of them, a few of them, to make that, particularly when even parliamentarians did ask that there ought to be a change. But in their case, they were even talking of the finance minister. And the president didn't see the need for it at that time. And he thought he was handling the matter well with the IMF and co. So he decided that no. Some said that, well, maybe you were mistaken. You could have sacrificed him somehow.
But if
he didn't do that. It's history.
If many people, even in Parliament, wants this person to go or be reshuffled, and the president says no, was the president making decisions on his own without consulting anybody?
Of course, I said, even me sitting here, and I can have the privilege of telling you that we talked about it. Said that even on the radio program, somebody asked me, I said, it's taking too long. Should have made those changes as a matter of style and co. But the president here works with people, and sometimes there are people that he works with, and he takes to their to liken them and things that they may be doing well and co. But I am not holding brief in extenso for this decision. Maybe because I myself am not convinced that you shouldn't have done it. You should have done it a little earlier, though a few, to let people know this is what is happening. But, Madam Sawa, leadership is difficult. Leadership, sometimes you don't listen to the popular majorities. That's leadership. Sometimes you don't listen to the voice of the popular majorities. If you are convinced about something and think it's in the best interest of those who are doing it, sometimes you may say, well, I'm doing it for you. If you say you don't want to, let me do it this way, but it will tend to hurt you. It will tend to hurt the people you are doing it. That's why sometimes you are a bit obstinate, you are a bit difficult over certain decisions that you take. You turn around. People will turn around to let you know that, oh, you took a better decision. It was a good decision you took for us. And they will remember that, particularly when your government had fallen.
Okay. We have to take a break, but before then, I'm sure that you have seen the thank you tour that
Yes.
the flag
Started
bearer and
before the
some
weekend, yes.
party members have
Yes.
embarked on. Do
I
you,
wish I
do
had
you
the
like
privilege of also taking
the
part.
form
but
and structure that it's being done, in
the
which it's being
format,
done?
yes, it's good. Although it should have come earlier, but explanation had been given and they were waiting for the committee's report. Whatever it is in Ghana, they say whether it is good or it is bad, thank God for what is happening. Maybe if me, I'm in a position that most of you have not voted for me or didn't go to vote, I might say that, well, we should just wait and see what happens. But it says, thank you. Thank you for even tolerating me for the years that we were in government. Thank you for making sure that this country remains stable. You took a decision one way or the other. We thank you for it. It's a very good thing that we decided to do.
Okay. You're still watching GH Today. This is Hard Talk. We're taking a break. When we return, we will still talk about the NPP, of course, and rebuilding the party for the 2028 elections.
I hear the birds singing, now my alarm ringing.
Right, so you heard excerpts of that interview between my colleague Sawami here and Freddy Blay, former national chairman of the New Patriotic Party. Now, we'll be serializing that interview and making sure that at every given point you get to see and also hear more from that. But let's now quickly do birthdays. And if it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you, the 29th day of April. Happy glorious birthday to you, Emmanuel. You are an inventive and great media man who has a vision for the best. I thank God